everyone.
everyone.
I am so excited to be here, and this enthusiasm in the chat makes me so happy. How are we all on this fine evening? So it's day 3, the final day of GDSC WOW. What were the sessions that you enjoyed the most in the last 2 days? Tell us about them in the chat.
Well, Dhwani, I enjoyed the Flutter sessions personally, all the roadmap sessions, and excited for today as well.
I know, right? The ML sessions and the UI/UX sessions were so amazing.
Awesome. How excited are you all for attending today's session? Wow, great. I see a lot of you all are excited for the sessions that we have planned for today.
Zara, let's assure them that it's nothing less than what has been done in the previous 2 days. How many of you have participated in Treasure to Wow already? And how many of you are looking forward to it today?
I think almost everybody has participated in the treasure hunt game. So how many of you think that you might be the winners of the day 2 quizzes and the treasure hunt? Okay. All right. So stay tuned to get to know who are the day 2 winners. It will be announced on the social media handles of GDSC WOW by the end of the day.
So much excitement for the quizzes and the treasure hunt. That's really exciting. So guys,
Yeah.
guess and put in the chat which topics do you think we will be discussing today?
Is it web, cloud, Flutter?
So many right guesses. Let's just dive right into it. The response in the past 2 days has been overwhelming, and I'm sure everyone in the organizing team of this year's GDSC WOW is proud of the event that we have pulled off. Let's keep the same zeal and have some fun while learning today as well. I am Dhwani Gupta, GDSC lead at MIET Jammu, and I, along with my co-host Zara here, will be your host for today's first half of the event. For those of you joining us for the very first time, let me assure you we have a lot in store for you. As you know, GDSC WOW, that is Wonder of Wonders, was a 3-day collaboration event of more than 200 GDSCs across the country. It has been months of planning and discussions to bring forth this event, and we thank you all for joining us today to mark the last day of this year's greatest collaboration event. Let's show some spirit in the chat. I hope you all have gained a lot from the past 2 days, and we promise nothing less from today as well. During the course of the event, kindly adhere to this code of conduct. First, be nice, respectful, and constructive while interacting on the YouTube live chat. Do not post anything if any adult content, rude or offensive statements. Do not advertise or promote anything. Do not spam, that is, post same thing again and again. And the most important thing, harassment of any kind is not tolerated in this event. If you fail to follow this code of conduct, you will be blocked from interacting on this chat. Right, so I now hand over the rostrum to Zara for further proceedings.
Thank you, Dhwani. Hello again. I am Zara, GDSC lead at Trinity College of Engineering and Research, Pune. So before we get started with the sessions planned for today, let me quickly walk you through some details regarding the fun activities that we are going to continue to conduct today as well, which include interesting quizzes after each session and the treasure hunt game known as Treasure to Wow, where you will have to focus on finding clues during each session to crack the answers at each level. We are now sharing a Google form link with you. Open the form, fill up the details, and click on the link given in the form at the end. That will redirect you to a password protected PDF. Make sure you download it before you submit the Google form. Clues to this password will be given in the first session today. Once you are able to open the first PDF, you will find the link to the second level there itself. Follow and listen to all the sessions carefully. Questions and hints provided in between will help you unlock the following treasure hunt levels: Continue this till you reach the final level, level 5, where you will receive another Google form. Fill in all the details in that form as well to be eligible for exciting goodies. Well, there are also some limitations. The clues identification and the password should be entered within the duration of the session, that is 30 minutes. Google form needs to be filled on time before session 1 ends. If the answer of the clue is entered before the time the clue is mentioned, you won't be eligible. Duplicate entries won't be accepted. Participants must register for the WOW event prior. So if you have not registered, move to the GDSCWOW.tech website, click on the register button, register yourself because registration is mandatory. If you still have any confusion related to Treasure of WOW, you can go through the guidelines pinned in the chat section. Well, Dhwani, participating in such interesting and challenging games is itself exciting. But hold
I
on,
know, right?
that's not it. Yeah. Top participants who answer quickly and accurately stand a chance to win amazing swags in the session-wise quizzes as well. All right, so day 1 winners have already been announced for the treasure hunt. For the day 2 winners, it will be announced by the end of the day. Congratulations to all the winners, and we hope that others who couldn't make it give their best today, as this is going to be the one last chance to hunt the treasure of WOW.
I would like to take up this opportunity to introduce the title sponsor for this year's WOW, Geeks for Geeks. As we all already know, GFG is the world's most trusted interview preparation portal for tech aspirants. They have the biggest repository of tech content, and their daily traffic is over 5 million. From delivering top notch content from their writers, as well as valuable contributions from the students, and to imparting education via online courses, Geeks for Geeks plays a pivotal role in providing access to education to coding budders in India. I'm sure a lot of us use GFC on a daily basis. At least I do. I would also like to take up this opportunity to thank our first platinum sponsor, Mentro. I would like to take up this opportunity to again introduce our platinum sponsor, Mentro. I would also like to introduce the second platinum sponsor, Algo Zenith.
Making a mark in internship and placement tests needs more than basic coding skills. Algo Zenith brings training to help you upskill and build a more intuitive approach to coding. With live and recorded sessions, practice routines with doubt solving, mock contests, and interviews with separate regimes for coding rounds, we have got you covered. Experts with top skills will chaperone you to success. Get the solution to ultimate training for competitive programming under one roof. Sign up with Algo Zenith today.
Thank you for supporting our endeavors and helping us in bringing this event to life.
Yes. So moving ahead, many of you all who have attended day one and day two events must be aware of the roadmap and some more insights based on Flutter by now. So today, to guide us with a hands-on session on Flutter and Dart, we have with us Pavan Kumar, Google developer expert in Flutter, Firebase, Dart. He is a perfection-obsessed software developer whose interests range from technology to design. He is also interested in music, entrepreneurship, and traveling. Loves open sourcing cool projects on GitHub, helping the Android community, and is currently a Flutter and Dart enthusiast. So let's utter some flutter with Pavan today. Over to you, Pavan.
Hi everyone. First of all, thanks for being here and thanks for giving me this opportunity to present myself. So what we will be doing, we will be making a Flutter application and we will also try to, fetch some data from the APIs. And if we will have some time, then also we will try to run this application on multiple platforms. At the same time, we will also see how we can work with WebSockets. So, by the way, before we start, let me just give you a little bit introduction about myself. So, my name is Pavan. I am a Google developer expert for Flutter and Dart and Firebase, and I work at a company called Frontier as head of engineering. So, and you might be knowing me because of my channel, which is Codepur. So, probably if you have learned Flutter in the past, then you might have seen my YouTube channel Codepur or Codepur.dev. So that's an introduction about me, and we have a very less time for this quick workshop which we are going to do. So let's get started as fast as possible. So now we are starting with a new Flutter project. And as I told you, this is going to be a cryptocurrency application and we are going to start from scratch. So what I have done, I've actually created a project called Flutter underscore crypto, and I have deleted almost everything. And in the pubspec.yaml, if you will see, I have added a new package, which is HTTP package, so that I can get some data from an API, which I'm going to tell you what API I'm going to use. So what we are going to do after that, we will go to main.dart and we have just a void main method. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say a method called run app. And here I can pass my app to this, which is basically right now nothing. Okay. And it does not understand what is run app. So what I'm going to do, I can import material.dart, and then it does not understand what is my app. So I'm going to create a new folder in this lib and I'm going to call it app. And inside this new folder, I'm going to create a file called app.dart. Okay. So what it's going to do, it's going to have this my app here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I will import material.dart quickly. And at the same time, what I'm going to do, I am going to create a stateless widget, which will be my app. Okay, this is fine. And it will return a material app. And material app will have nothing, but let's say we can set some theme. So theme data, and we can just give a primary swatch where we can just give a color called green. And in the body part, oh, sorry, in the home part, we can just say a container, which is a blank screen, which we see on the screen. And I will import this my app. And now if I do a hot restart, you will see again this blank screen. But if I give some color to this container, for example, I give it colors dot red, then you will see this red color. So that means our app is working just fine the way we wanted. Now we want to, like, we have added a package called HTTP, right? So we will see if we can do with that package as well. But for that, what I want to do, rather than just showing a container, I want to have a crypto page over here. So I'll just create a crypto page quickly. So I'll go to lib folder again, and here I'll create a new folder where I'll just say pages, for example, and I can just say a crypto page, okay, dot dart. And I can also create a new folder called widgets if we are gonna use that later. So this is the crypto page. What I'm gonna do, I wanna make it stateless widget. So I'll just say imported material dot dart. Um, and let's make it a stateless widget by saying crypto page. And now this has this container. So I can just import this crypto page successfully. And now we get a blank container again, which is fine because now we have removed the color and all. So rather than a container, we can just say a scaffold. Okay. And the scaffold can have an app bar, and in the center we have a text called crypto. So let's say we just say it crypto app on the app bar, and in the center we have a text called crypto, which is not looking very good because this is a crypto app and we cannot see anything related to crypto, right? So what I'm going to do, we will fetch some data from an API, which will be a third party API, and then we will show that data here, okay, using some widgets. So what I'm going to do, let's do one thing. Let's import the HTTP library which we have added. So we will say http dot dart as http. This is, again, like, we are following null safety here, so that's why you see this question mark and some other things which you're gonna see. And all the libraries which we will be using, that will be null safety compatible. So now we have in the center text crypto. What I'm gonna do, I am going to create a new method which will be, let's say, get crypto assets, okay. And this will be a asynchronous method, which means, so if you don't know about null safety or asynchronous or how to set up a Flutter project, you can check the documentation on flutter.dev. That will be the simplest way of knowing it. But I'm trying to make it a little bit simple, so that's why I'm using this. So now we will specify a URL on which we will get the data. So for that, I'm using CoinCap. So we are using CoinCap APIs to get the data, and then we will fetch the response using this http.get, and then I'll just say uri.parse and then the URL. What it will do, HTTP basically is the library, and we are making a get request, so that's why we are saying get, and then we are parsing the URL, and it will give us some response. And based on that response, if the status code is 200, then we can return response.body, as we can just say exception failed to load this data. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, rather than returning response.body, what we can do, we can just say what response.body which we are getting. Okay, let's print it, and we will call this get crypto assets in the build method just to check it that if everything is working fine or not. So if I do that, in the debug console, let's see if we get some data or not. Okay, so it's performing hot reload. So that's another beautiful thing about Flutter, that it gives you hot reload. You might have seen in other, like speakers might have already told you the beautiful parts about Flutter. So in this workshop, I'm just gonna, like, it's a quick workshop, so I'm just gonna explain a few bits here and there. So hot reload is nothing but, whatever changes you are doing to the UI, it gets immediately appear on the screen. And for some reason the hot reload is not working. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to start this app quickly. So I'll just press function F5 on my keyboard. You can press something else if that is something which you use, or you can go here and in on the run you can just start debugging or run without debugging. This is the sample which I'm talking about. So F5 is the key which you're gonna use. So it will take a moment and it will run my application over here. And you can see we have here some response. And in the body, I can see something. Okay, so it's a data. So we need this data field. Okay, this data field is important to us. So for that, this data is right now in JSON format, so we have to decode it first. So what I'm gonna do, I can just say final decoded data, which will be response JSON. So we have to import this JSON dot. So we'll just say JSON dot decode, and we need to, kind of import Dart convert library to get this. Let me just remove this. Okay, so here we will parse response dot body. What it will do, it will parse the JSON for me. And once it is done, we will have a decoded data. So if you will see here, we will have a decoded data over here. Okay, in the meantime, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna comment this get crypto assets, which is not something which I'm going to use anyway. So now we have the decoded data. I need data from it. Okay, there is something called data. So what I'm going to say, list dynamic crypto assets. I can get the crypto assets from this data field. Okay, and then I can return this crypto assets. Okay, so this is what we have to do. We can just make this URL as const. That's what it is saying. So this is our crypto assets. Now how I can use these crypto assets in my UI, right? So rather than saying in the center that, I have a text crypto, I can use a widget called future builder, because we are using a future. So here we are using basically a future. How if I just write here future and this, then it means we are returning this. And that's why we are using future builder. So what future builder does for us, it takes a future, and basically what we can do, we can, let's see if we get something over here. So we have something called a builder, and we can have a snapshot from this builder, and based on that snapshot, we have some information over here. Okay, based on some snapshot, we can show some data. So what we are doing over here, let me just show you one quickly. Okay, so what we are doing over here, we are basically saying that this builder will give us two things. One is the context, one is snapshot, which is the data which we will get from this method. Where we have specified that method, not yet. So we have to specify that method using future, and we can here we can say get crypto assets, and then if there is some data, then it will display some UI, which I'm gonna just fix very soon. So for example, let's remove this. So based on this data, we will fetch some UI. Okay, and if there is no data, then what we are gonna do, we are going to throw an error. So if this, we can also have an else situation where snapshot dot has error, right? And in that case, what we are gonna do, we can return some text snapshot dot error, something like this. And when the data is loading, we can just show a circular indicator, progress circular indicator, right? So this is what we can do. So now item count, basically how many items are there. For that, we have to say that snapshot dot data is actually a list. Okay, and then only we can count the length of it, right? And similarly, we have to say that this snapshot dot data is basically as a list. We can get the index of it. So this is all we have to do. And then once we are done with that, we have to return some form of data. For example, we can just say text crypto asset dot to string. And once I run this, you can see we have a circular progress indicator, and we have some data as well over here. So we got some data which is looking good, but it's not something which we wanted. I mean, this is something very good, but not that good on UI. Okay, we have a lot of fields here which we are going to note. So we have an ID field. So let's note some fields over here. So we have an ID field. Okay, we have a rank. Okay, so rank field. we have something called symbol. So symbol we have name, and we can see we have some supply, maximum supply, which we are not going to use. We have something called price USD, which might be of our use, right? So let's use that. Price USD, price USD, and we have change percent 24 hours. So we can just say change percent, and we have to remove S. Okay, so these are some of the fields which we have. Okay, so based on these fields, we can show some data, right? So we have ID, rank, and all those kind of things. So what I'm gonna do, rather than having a normal text, I will use something called a list style. So list style is basically another widget which we can use, and inside this we can have a title where we can use a text showing the name. So we can just say crypto asset and then name. Okay, so this is good. And okay, okay, we are getting some issue over here. Okay, so it's saying that there's some issue. Let's do toString. And now if I do hot restart, let's see if this solves the problem. Okay, it's showing that failed to load data. The reason is still unknown. Let's try another time and see. Now we can see we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, USD, coin, and everything, right? What we can do, we can have a subtitle as well, where we can say that it has a symbol kind of, right? So you can see this is its symbol, which is looking really cool, right? So we have this data as well. Now what I'm gonna do, we can also show the price in USD. So we can use trailing widget, and then we can use the text, okay? And then what we can do is basically we can use the dollar sign, and we can just say crypto assets price USD dot to string, and we can also say toString. Okay, we have something over here. Okay, so what I'm doing is basically I am trying to hot reload automatically, so that's why these things are happening. You won't have to face such kind of things. Okay, so I'm just gonna say toString, and then what we can do, we can also have other methods which we can use. So we can just say toString, and then okay, this for now it's fine that we are having a toString method. We can also add a dollar sign over here, so we can just say dollar, and this is looking good. This is the price which we are getting for this Bitcoin and everything, and this is cool, right? So what else we can do, right? This is fine, this app is looking good, but not that good, which we can say that's the best app. But what we can do is basically we can maybe modify this to string a little bit so that it can give us something better. So if I just say that um, okay, let's do one thing. We can also say final string price, and we can say crypto asset as double or as num, and based on that what we can do, we can say dot to string as fixed for 3 digits, or 2 digits, and then okay, it's not num. So what we can do is basically it's string already. So what I'm gonna do, I will convert it to num. So what I can do is num dot try parse, and I'll use this, and then we can have something like this. Okay, so this should work. Um, okay, now you can see we have the price over here, so I can just use it like this. Okay, so now we can see we have the price in something like this, where we have cut it like after decimal there is only 2 digits, which is looking much better. So we have done the major part over here. What we can do more to this application, this is a very simple application, a crypto app where we have a future builder. Based on that we are changing some price, right? We can modify these prices as well, like based on, like, if you see, there's a situation here that these prices changes with time, right? So how we can accommodate that, right? So how we can do that stuff where we know that this price is changing, right? So we will be keep updating those prices. For before that, let's also wrap it with a card. So wrap it with center, and then let's replace the center as a card so that it looks a little bit better. Okay, and we can also change the color here. So I can just say font, sorry, style, text style, and then we can give it a color. For example, I can just give it a color red. Okay, or we can do one thing, rather than giving a red color, we can give a green dot shade 800, for example. Okay, this is looking good, and we can also make it bold. So we can just say font weight dot bold. Okay, so once we are done with this part, what we can do, we can also see that we want to change the pricing based on what's happening. Okay, so for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use WebSockets. So in the pubspec.yml, I'm gonna add a new dependency where I can say web socket channel, and I will use the latest version of it. So it's gonna give me WebSocket channel, right? And this is good. Um, so after that, what I'm gonna do, once we have the crypto assets, right? What I can do, before returning this, I will say that listen to for example, listen to crypto assets. Okay, so I'm creating a new method called listen to crypto asset, and I'll create that method over here. Um, okay, we have listen to crypto assets. So I'll just create over here itself. So we have listen to crypto assets where we have this crypto assets. So what I'm gonna do, I am going to okay, let's do one thing. First of all, I'll create a channel, final channel, and I'm gonna use WebSocket. Um, so WebSocket, for that I have to import WebSocket, WebSocket dart. Okay, WebSocket channel we can use, and we can just say WebSocket channel dot connect, and inside that we can parse a URI, or a WebSocket URL, which will give us all the details. Okay, so I can say here UI dot parse, and this can be the URL. So what I am specifying over here, I'm specifying list. Okay, so what it is trying to do is basically there is a channel, okay, which is a WebSocket channel. It is trying to listen to this particular URL, which is nothing but it is saying that, for some assets, can you give me a real-time price? Okay, for example, for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Litecoin, for all these coins, can you give me a real-time price? So right now, as you can see in our crypto app, we have Bitcoin price as 39,238, right? But it might have changed, like by now, right? And for Ethereum we have 2784, it might have changed right now. So it's not a real time price anymore because we have just fetched this widget once, and after that there is no such call. Okay, so now I can do that. Okay, I'm gonna do some very bad practice, by the way, but we can improve this code in the future. But because we are short of time, so what we are gonna do, based on this channel, okay, we will listen to this data. Okay, and then based on that data, what we can do is basically we can update prices of at least 4 Bitcoin or 4 crypto coins, basically for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, and Litecoin. We will update their prices. Okay, uh, it will have some bad performance, by the way, as of now, but you will understand, you will learn how to work with these kind of things. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, let's make this channel as let's have this channel as here, like for now it is fine, but we can definitely change it later. So rather than final channel, we will just say channel, and we have this channel over here. And once we fetch crypto assets, then we will listen to crypto assets, as I told you. And then here we will have this channel where what we can do, um, we can basically right now here we don't have to do anything. In fact, we can use a stream builder before this list view dot builder, or before when we build this card. So what I'm gonna do, let's wrap this list view builder dot with a stream builder. This is not a great idea, by the way, as of now, but we are just doing it for the sake of doing it for now. So just for learning purpose we are doing it. And here I can say, okay, here I can say channel dot stream. So what it will do, it will listen to this string. Okay, let's me close this app for now, and we will run it again. So what it will do, it will listen to this stream. Okay, and in the builder it will use this snapshot, which let's call it stream data. Okay, so stream snapshot. Okay, so stream snapshot, what it will do, it will give us some data. So we will check first of all if stream snapshot, okay, stream snapshot dot, okay, let's do one thing, let's reload the window once. Okay, if streams snapshot has some data. Okay, so based on this, what we can do, we can check. Okay, so it will have some data. Okay, so if it has some data, what kind of data it will have? So it will have kind of a string. Okay, where we will have some let's say Bitcoin and its value, and Ethereum it is as its value. So what we are going to do, we are going to say, okay, what is happening is basically we have here the prices. Okay, and okay, so let's do one thing. So we have this stream sort has data. We can, what we can say, we can have stream data. So we can just say map. Okay, map stream data. So what it will, this stream data will do, it will take the data from here. Stream data is snapshot.data. And what we can do, we can also JSON decode it, snapshot.data. Okay, so this is fine. And we can use it as map, or what we can do, we can also say that it is as string. Okay, now this is good. So we will get stream data from here. So stream data will have values like Bitcoin's value is this, Ethereum value is this. And then when we are saying price, so we can just say string price. We will check if, okay, if stream data dot contains key, which will be the key will be the ID. So we have crypto asset, and we can just say of its ID. So if it contains that key, and we make sure that it is not null. So if it contains that key, then we can get the price as well, right? So we can just say price is equal to stream data crypto ID, and we can just say dot to string. Okay. So what is happening is basically we are checking first of all, if we are getting some stream snapshot, if it has some data, then we are fetching stream data out of it. and then we are checking if it contains that particular ID, then update its price. That's it, nothing else. Okay, what else we can do rather than saying it as a price here? Okay, let's fine. Let's run this application once and let's see what happens. And we will also add a breakpoint here just to check what stream snapshot which we are getting here. Okay, so it's gonna be very simple. We are just adding a stream snapshot, which is nothing but, so this is again not a perfect code. This means that we are rebuilding the UI multiple times for no reason. For example, every time there is a new data, we are kind of fetching the entire list view again, which is not ideal. So we can see stream snapshot has no data false, so it is null, and it does not contain a key, so it's giving me some error. So okay, so we can just say, rather than saying this, we can add a check here. If stream data is not equal to null, and okay, this should work. Okay, let's do this. So now let's do this again. And okay, now we can see we have some data. So data is in string Bitcoin and its value. And what we are doing, we are then decoding it and then we are updating it. So next time, let's see what data we are getting. This time, okay. So now we can see Bitcoin value, it is showing 39,174.27. Let's see if this changes with time. Okay. So we have a new value, which is 39,171.76, and this is getting updated. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to print this stream data somewhere, or we can print this stream snapshot dot data just for our idea. So this is the new price, and you can see our pricing are updating 7021. So it is updating regularly without anything. So 27814.49, sometime it is 2425. So this is a very simple app, and it does not matter if we are using stream builder over list view. So it's totally fine, but we can definitely improve this app's performance and we can do few things. But I just wanted to show you that, these kind of things you can do. We can also kind of extract this in a new widget. Let's say we can just say it a price widget, and price widget will take price, and we can move this price widget from here to widget section, where we can just say price widget dot dart, and we can paste it over here, import material, and we can make it a little bold. Text style, font style, font style dot bold. Okay, let's do font weight, not style. Font weight dot bold, and okay, this, and let's use price widget. Let's import this as well. So now you can see we have this data being updated regularly, right? So now you can see the values are updating for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and two more coins, which will be, which was, I guess, Litecoin, something like that. Yes, Litecoin was there. So I hope you understood like how to work with fetching data, how to work with WebSockets, how to update your UIs. So that was the intention of this video, to talk about a lot of things, how you can deal with WebSockets and all. So I hope you enjoyed it, and you love this cryptocurrency app. In the future, we will do more stuff to this, and you can subscribe my YouTube channel as well, Code Pool, where you can see more of it. in the future. And if you liked my video on this particular stream, then yes, give a thumbs up to this particular video as well. And by this, I just want to say you thanks. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at the rate I am the PK. And that's it from this presentation. Thank you so much and see you next time.
Thank you so much, Pawan, for such an insightful session. I would like to share that Pawan has a YouTube channel named Codepur, which is perfect if you wish to get started with Flutter. There is an entire playlist which is really useful and has valuable content explained in a clear way. So do check that out.
Great. So at this point, I think we will be taking some Q&A from the chat. Kindly flood the chat with questions, any questions that you might have. We're waiting for the questions that you guys might have. So share the questions in the chat, and I'm sure Pawan would like to answer them.
Nice. So everybody is busy in the treasure hunt, and I guess
So
they are waiting for the quiz.
I think there is one question in the chat
Yeah,
that is,
let's
what
take
are
that.
the best resources for learning Flutter as a beginner?
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me, first of all.
Hello,
And yeah,
Pawan.
I am sure that session was way too fast for a lot of people because they were very busy with treasure hunt and all those sort of things. But I mean, yeah, it's like it will be, I guess, there for some time, right? After this whole event is over, then also you can watch it. So it will take some time. If you are new to Flutter, it may take some time to get used to what are widgets and everything like that.
Right. So, Pawan, at this point, we would be posing some questions to you from the chat, and we would like it if you could answer them. So, the
Yeah,
first
for
question
sure.
was, what are the best resources for learning Flutter as a beginner?
Yeah, okay. So if you want to learn Flutter, I would say that like it totally depends, what kind of like what is your way of learning things. Maybe some people prefer video, some people prefer reading articles, and some people prefer, reading direct documentation, the official ones. So I'll suggest to start with, reading documentation first, and then you can start creating minor clones probably, or simple apps like you can make a calculator, things like that, which you have been using a lot, and then you can create some clones. So resources, I'll say you can go to flutter.dev. That's a very good way to start. They also have a YouTube channel. Like there's a YouTube channel for Flutter which you can use. Obviously there is my content also, Codepur YouTube channel, which you can also watch. And you can also visit my website codepur.dev, where you will find a lot of content again. If you prefer videos in Hindi, then also I have an entire 8 hours course on YouTube, which is totally free. So you can also, consume that. So there are a lot of content, a lot of open source, projects as well. So it totally depends on you, what is your way of learning. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Right. So there is another question which says, which is better, Android Studio or VS Code?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I get this question every time whenever we have to talk about Flutter or Android or iOS. So when it comes to Android or Flutter, I think there is no best ID as such. Okay, I mean, people have different choices, and I most of the time I tell people that it depends on you and your machine. Okay, if you have a machine which is having 4 GB of RAM, Android Studio can struggle. Okay, and I'll be very honest about it. Android Studio requires a lot of resources. So that's one thing which you have to remember. VS Code as compared to Android Studio or IntelliJ is lightweight, so you can definitely use that. But if you are someone who is much comfortable with Android Studio, and or IntelliJ, and you remember all the shortcuts and all, then if you're comfortable, then you can definitely use Android Studio or IntelliJ. It's totally your personal preference. Both are good depending on what you use. I use VS Code because I also work on other projects, and VS Code is one solution for me. When I have to work on web, I can use VS Code. For Flutter, I can use VS Code. For Python, I can use VS Code. So that's my way of using it. But for, like, if you are someone who is comfortable with Android Studio, you can definitely use it. So nothing is best. It's totally personal preference, and like how much you are used to that particular IDE or code editor.
Right. So the next question is, can we use Flutter in our ML projects?
Technically you can use, okay, there's nothing stopping you from using ML in your Flutter project, but it also depends what sort of, like what is your exact requirement when you say you want to use ML, right? If you, let's say for example, if you want to use ML Kit, which is being offered by Firebase, okay, then there's a direct plugin which you can use, right? But let's say if you have to import your maybe a custom model, okay, then you can have some challenges. So whatever you can use in native Android and iOS, you can definitely do the same thing in Flutter. But in some cases, there can be some challenges which you might have to solve by yourself. You cannot expect everything to be, they are published by someone. So I mean, it depends, right? It's you can do it, but depends what exact use case you are targeting.
Right. There is one last question, that how many months will it take for me to reach the intermediate level in Flutter?
Okay. Ideally, I would have said that it depends from like person to person, that how do you learn, and what is your journey of learning. But if I'm assuming that you are giving Flutter 1 hour every day, kind of, let's say, then in 3 to 4 months you will be in a good position where you can say you know about Flutter very well. So and this is very subjective, by the way. Don't like message me after 4 months that I didn't learn anything and I followed you. So it's a very subjective thing. But yeah, I mean, if you are continuously doing something, it's not just about Flutter, any other technology. I think 3 to 4 months is a good time. Like what happens usually, I'll take a little one more minute to explain this. What happens usually is that we think that we have to run fast and we have to learn everything in a quick time, right? And we just give it 2 days, let's say 7 days, 10 days. We take some Udemy course and all. We go to 20% of that course, and then we feel like, okay, it हमसे ना हो पाएगा. So that's the kind of way we learn. And then after 1 year, you will be at the same position, right? You will again think the same way. You will again start, again will try for 1 or 2 weeks, and then you will again give up. So you already wasted 1 year or 2 years. You are already in doing BTech and all. You have 4 years. You will waste it, I know. But after 4 years, you will realize that I am at the same position. So it's better to take your time. So take your time, like give everything proper time. It can be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, but the end result will be good. So patience is the key, and consistency is what you need.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you so
indeed,
much,
Pawan.
sir, for such
Yeah,
an amazing session and also for patiently answering our questions. Thank you, sir.
thanks for
Right.
having me. Thank you so much.
It's really
Our
true that
pleasure, sir.
patience and consistency are the two keys of like succeeding in a field. So thank you so much,
Right.
Pawan. So,
Thank you.
moving on, Dhwani is back with the fun part of this evening. Thank you, Pawan, for such an enlightening session. I'm sure it inspired a lot of us to get started with Flutter development. If yes, you are all in luck because the Flutter festivals are currently going on. For more details, you can reach out to the community GDSC leads. So, without further ado, let's move on to the quiz that we've all been waiting for. But before starting the quiz, I would like to take up this opportunity to congratulate the winners of yesterday and the day before. Congratulations, folks. Stay tuned for the declaration of results of day 2. Now, a link will be shared in the chat for the Flutter quiz. Click on it and you can start attempting. Just a heads up, you have about 3 minutes to complete the quiz. All the best, everyone. So 1 minute is left. Kindly hurry up.
8 seconds to go.
Ooh, time's up. For those of you who were able to submit, great job, folks. And for those who couldn't, don't lose hope because we're just getting started.
Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed attending and attempting all the questions of the quiz. So moving on, let me now introduce our cloud speaker for today. Please welcome Dharmesh Vaya, a Google developer expert for Google Cloud Platform, payments and cloud solutions architect with close to 16 years of experience, having proficiency in developing and driving cloud DevOps strategies across the large organizations. Welcome, Dharmesh. We believe after an awesome 30 days of Google Cloud journey, this session is a great opportunity for all of us to revise what we have learned throughout the Google Cloud program. With that said, over to you, sir.
Hey, thanks, Zara, for the introduction. Hi, Dhwani. Good evening, everyone. Quickly, let me share my screen, and I should be able to present. Let me know once my screen is visible. Sorry for that.
It's not a problem, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. Visible now? Okay. Okay, it's visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, hi everyone. Good evening, and thanks again to GDSC WOW for having me. So what we are going to do in the next half an hour, 20 minutes or so, we're going to see how fast and quickly we can build really good scalable apps without having to actually worry about the infrastructure. Now, for all practical purposes, I'm going to assume that you're building web applications and you understand how to actually write that application, and you are worrying about the scalability problem. Now, to kind of answer that or to solve for that scalability issue, this is exactly the session that you need to think about and understand, because we are going to talk about serverless products on GCP. Quickly, we are going to see what exactly is a gist of serverless, what are the GCP offerings, what exactly is Cloud Run, which is one of the most popular products or services rather, which talk about serverless, and then we'll see a quick demo, and you'll see that how quickly it can scale up and scale down with any number of requests, and it can handle it very easily. So to quickly understand, now what does it take to kind of actually scale a product? Okay, one is definitely your product, your service, your code. It has to kind of handle that much amount of traffic, but then it is actually the infrastructure or the server which is going to manage this traffic. Okay, so your code is going to definitely have all sorts of provisions to kind of manage concurrent requests and several database hits at the same time. But then who is actually going to manage, or who is going to take it on the shoulder? It's going to be the infrastructure. Now, if I talk in terms of the development part of it, you obviously are the experts for that. You all understand what is development, how to write the code with the best practices and all. But if you're talking in terms of scaling it using serverless products, this is exactly where we are going to see it in depth. But before that, let us understand what's a bit around serverless. Okay, so here the whole idea over here is to focus on your application and not really the infrastructure. Okay, so what I mean by this is that okay, so just to kind of reinforce. Okay, if you don't have any code, you don't have any server, you don't need a server to kind of deploy that. That's not really serverless. Okay, the whole idea behind serverless is that these are event driven applications, so which means that an event is triggered, some action happens at the infra level, and based on that event, an action gets performed on the trigger. Okay, so these can be a combination of any third party services, any API request, or any remote call. So traditionally these can be backend services, API calls, HTTP applications as well, can be event driven as well. So these are typical good candidates to have serverless applications. Now, moving to GCP, what does it provide? Why it is useful? We'll see that in a quick gist. Okay. So in GCP, there are typically a lot of compute products. So you must have used something like a compute engine or an app engine to start with. But then you obviously would have heard of Kubernetes engine, which is like kind of taking the industry by storm. But then Kubernetes engine becomes way too complex, okay, in terms of managing the whole infrastructure, and that is not traditionally what you want to do as a developer. Okay, and you want to like kind of extract away from the whole infrastructure side of things. Okay, so in this case, what is the best way to deploy this application as well as not worry about the scalability piece as well? In this case, Cloud Run comes to the rescue, and there is also a scenario where you can use Cloud Functions as well. So typically, if I talk in terms of scalability, right, Cloud Run, Cloud Functions, and App Engine are the top serverless products that you can think of. With Compute Engine and Kubernetes Engine, also you can achieve a good amount of stability and scalability. However, these are not serverless. You will have to configure them, manage them, and handle them for scalability. So here, if we are not wanting to worry about scalability factors, then Cloud Run is something that we should go for. Now, why do we choose Cloud Run, or how do you actually like kind of focus that Cloud Run is something that you kind of go for? So here is a decisioning tree that kind of helps you. So if I kind of talk in that sense that where exactly does Cloud Run come into picture? So this is exactly a tree which will help you. So it really depends on what kind of application you are building. Okay, whether it's a stateless HTTP app, or whether it is driven by certain events or certain particular actions. So if it is totally an event driven thing, okay, Cloud Functions is the answer. You can blindly go for it. Okay. However, if it's a stateless HTTP application, whether like it's some sort of a web backend or a web front end facing application, so then the next question would come is whether you need to configure a particular hardware for that. If the answer is no, okay, then whether now you need it for a particular custom library or a custom language which is not supported, say for example by Cloud Run. Okay. So if it is not supported, okay, so then you use an app engine kind of a standard environment. Or if it is you don't need if like the answer to that is yes, okay, you can definitely go for Cloud Run. Okay. There is something called as Cloud Run for Anthos, where if the hardware needs to be in your control, okay, then in that case you can go for Anthos. It's more of an on-prem way to kind of deploy your applications, having the same power of GCP and Kubernetes, but on your premises itself. So that's where like Anthos comes into picture, but that's something to park aside for another advanced session. Okay, for this session, let's concentrate on Cloud Run, where you know that it is a custom library or a language that you want to deploy. Okay, you don't want any kind of configurable hardware. It is a stateless application. So in that case, let us understand what exactly does Cloud Run do. Okay. So why Cloud Run? Okay, so first of all, it can work with any language, any library, whether it's a Java application, a Python application, a Node application, a React, Express, anything of that sort. Okay, you can deploy that very easily, provided these are containerized. Okay, now if your application can be containerized, it can run on Cloud Run. Okay, so that's the key takeaway I would rather want to share with you. So as I mentioned, these are container workflows. So if in your CI/CD pipeline, there are containers, and you want to kind of manage the scalability factors for that, okay, go for Cloud Run. Okay. Above that, Cloud Run is a managed service. Okay, which means you do not have to worry about how the service is configured in the backend of GCP, or how do you need to kind of configure that in terms of CPU, memory allocation, and all. It is all managed by GCP. Auto scaling, we'll see that in a demo. We'll hit some high load on a service, okay, and see whether the pods are actually scaling up or scaling down. Okay. And it is built on Knative, which is a way to kind of abstract containers away from the user, so that it actually is a way of defining or deriving serverless applications. Moreover, it is more cost efficient because you only pay for what your application is using. Okay. And that's why you only get billed for how much time your application was consuming the load. Okay. So how does it actually run? Okay. So understand that there can be multiple requests or multiple applications or revisions to your applications. Okay. So let's say there is a service A within your application. Okay. And a service B. Let's assume that for now, okay, these are two different pages in your application. Okay. Or web pages in your application. Okay. Now each of them is pointing to a different microservice. Each of them is pointing to a different container. Okay. If, say for example, okay, the service request is coming to your first service, okay, which is like say service A in this case. Okay. The request is hitting to that application or to that particular revision version. Okay. Only that container instance will get spawned up. Okay. Whereas if you see for service B, it is in an idle state. Nothing will get spawned up. Your containers will be zero. Okay. And you won't be even charged for that because that container is not running. Okay. If at all a request comes for service B, the container starts immediately at that time. Okay. And within say a fraction of a minute or so, okay, you can actually get that up and running. So typically it takes around even less than a minute to spin that container up, because you've already defined the container, it is deployed. It is just a matter of triggering that container. So as soon as a service B comes into picture, or a request is hitting service B, the container gets pinned up. Okay. So then let us see exactly in a demo how does it work. Okay. Let me share my screen for a particular application. Okay. Now, okay. let me share this one. Okay. 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 Is my screen visible? Can someone confirm? Okay. I'm assuming it is visible. Okay. So this is the application which I have already deployed on Cloud Run. Okay. If I just go to this, it is just a simple JSON being returned. Okay, where it points to my GitHub repo, a URL about me, and some description. Okay, so let's go to that GitHub repo, and let me kind of change something on this application. Okay, and we'll see that how exactly it is working. Okay, to kind of deploy that immediately at runtime, and then we'll see how does it auto scale as well. Okay, so first of all, let me change something on this application. So let me quickly so this is like demo for GDSC wow. Okay, thanks for attending on 27th Feb. So you see this, like this is the change which I'm making. Okay, so demo for GDSC WOW. Okay, let me commit this change. Okay, so as soon as I commit this change, what will happen is there is a cloud build. Okay, which is actually my CI tool. Okay, which will understand that okay, there is a new build that is going to get triggered. Okay, because a code change happened. Okay, so when a code change happens, okay, cloud build is actually watching, okay, whether anything changed in the application. So how does it come to know? Because there is a trigger set already. Okay, so what does the trigger do? And what is the event out here? Anything that is pushed to the branch, okay, it will auto detect and it will start building the whole image or the application. So in this case, if you see the image is being built, okay, let me show the dashboard. Okay, so here you see that this image is being built. Okay, let us see in this case that whether the image build is successful or not. Okay, so it is pulling all the code, and you see that it is successful. So I think it took less than a minute, or just around a minute. Okay, and it has deployed. So here you see that it is deployed to this particular service URL. Let's go to that URL and see anything, if this sentence changed or not. Okay, so if I just reload this, yes, this got deployed. So demo for GDSC WOW. Now, if I tell you that this is just one container that is running, okay, but if you want to understand that what in terms of like scalability, we started the whole talk around whether this can handle the scalability aspects or not, or whether this can actually handle a huge workload coming in. Okay, so then if you see over here, right now this application, okay, there are no requests coming in. Okay, and this is a real-time thing which I'm showing right now. Nothing is recorded, and the container instance count also, you can see that active it is 0. Okay, and idle is 2, because maybe in the previous case or a few hours ago I was trying this out, that whether if I hit a load, okay, there are more instances or more containers being spinned up. Okay, so let us just zoom this a bit and double click this. Okay, so if you see over here right now, there are no containers which are there. Okay, because I'm not hitting the application, or I just hit this one instance or once this application, and it is not consuming that much load. Okay, so then let us load, hit this application with some additional request. Okay, so if I use something called Apache Bench. Okay, it is a way to kind of simulate a heavy workload to your web application or a web URL. Okay, or it can be an API as well, and you want to check whether the API is still working fine, whether your containers are getting auto scaled upwards and downwards or not. Okay, so this is a good way to do that. So it's called Apache Bench. Okay, I've already configured that Apache Bench. I've added n as like 200, which is like I want to try 200 requests. Okay, and C means the concurrent request that I want to make. Okay, So now you see this, like this one spawned to 1 because like I was hitting the application on the browser. Okay. Now let me spawn that to like say 200 requests, okay, or 200 concurrent requests, okay, and see in a while that what does it happen to the containers on my Cloud Run instance. And without doing any configuration, I did not configure anything on Cloud Run, okay, and it will auto scale. So yes, it has completed 100 requests. It has completed, yeah, it completed like 200 requests. It just does not take too much time. Let us run with a larger workload, okay, and you can actually see that I mean it is connecting to a lot many requests at the same time, whether there is any failed request or not, whether how many are complete, what is the time taken for the entire test, what is the average duration. So it is like 2.7 milliseconds was the highest one, okay, and that is probably because we were running it simultaneously. So let me run this for like say 500 concurrent requests, and maximum can be 2000 number of requests, which is the total which I want to run. So let us run for that. So now it's completing 200, 400, 600. Okay, it got completed. So again, it just takes less than a few seconds. Okay, and in some time you will come to know that it just takes a bit of a while to reflect the number of containers out here, okay, because this was for a very short lived time, right? For 3 seconds only the containers were like kind of used across. Okay, so if you just see a few hours ago, right, where over here I was like continuously hitting it for like 10,000 users, 1 lakh concurrent request and so on. So if you see over here, the containers over here, they were spawned for like almost, like you can see there were 109 containers that were spinned up, okay, or rather 250 were active at the same time, if you see over here at this instance. So the maximum container that it kind of hit across was around 250 that were active at the same given point of time, and I did not have to do any configuration on the Cloud Run instance or anywhere as such. Okay, so how did I kind of hook it up to Cloud Run? It was like a very simple step to do. Okay, I just had to create a new service. Okay, that service is basically pointing to which my repo or which cloud build trigger it is. Okay, and then I've set it up for continuous deployment. So as soon as a trigger or a build is pushed, okay, or any code change happens, okay, the cloud build will actually watch for that trigger, build the whole package again, the container is created and it gets deployed onto this service of Cloud Run. So in this way, like you can actually have any web application running on Cloud Run without actually having to worry about the scalability factors. And not only Cloud Run, but any service that you take, like for example App Engine or even Cloud Functions, okay, it kind of behaves in the same manner. So we kind of practically saw deploying an application on Cloud Run, integrating that with Cloud Build. I know this was pretty short, like 20-25 minutes of a talk to kind of deploy and show this. It's a bit of a complex topic as such, but yes, I mean it was a short bite nugget, you can say, where you got to know how you can actually deploy applications without having to worry about the scalability pieces. And you actually saw that the container instances were actually getting auto scaled up. So if you just kind of, let's go to this one again, and if we can see really whether this actually shows the current status or not. So yes, okay, so if you see this, it's the same, like around 1820 we hit a lot of requests. Okay, so over here you can see that five container instances did get spawned up, okay, and they were actively running. Okay, it is just a bit of a lagged response that you get over here in terms of the monitoring matrix, which is obviously understood. But then if you see like now, okay, now this would actually die down, okay, and there would be no containers running, which means that you only get billed for this period of time, okay, where your containers are running, and that too in a billing in that manner that how much ever containers you consume, that is the amount of bill that will come to you, which is like kind of, again, very negligible, I would say. Okay, so that is a quick short, a demo, to kind of understand how to actually build scalable apps. Even you don't need a load balancer out here. That is also taken care within Cloud Run. Okay, so that's a quick thing, a quick demo, a session you can call, around Cloud Run, Cloud Build, and building scalable applications. So happy to take, if there are any questions, I'm open to answer them. Feel
Yeah,
free to let me know.
that was definitely an informative session, sir. It is going to be of great help to all the cloud enthusiasts and for those who are getting started with it and want to explore even more. Thank you, sir.
Definitely.
Let's take up a few questions. You all can put in the questions in the chat section, audience.
Okay.
Let's see if there are some questions.
It seems that a lot of them are behind the quiz. I hope you give them some exciting goodies and prizes. Okay, if there are no questions, I'll just post my LinkedIn and Twitter
Sure,
credentials.
sir.
Yeah, you might want to roll them if needed. Okay, so
So there indeed are a few questions.
sure, sure.
Zara, can you take
Come
up the
up.
first one?
Yeah. Uh, Someone says, I want to learn cloud computing from basics to advanced. What is the path for learning?
Okay, so great question. I would say, Suraj, like that. That's definitely a good point, and especially when right now, when you are in your academic cycle, you are already maybe exposed a bit to cloud technologies. Okay, so it's good to understand that how do you start from the basics. Okay, so first of all, I would say, don't worry about any one particular cloud or any one particular area of technology. Just understand cloud as a whole. Okay, understand the technology behind that. So what is required to kind of deploy something, how do you configure networks, how do you configure VPCs, what is the security measures, what are the compute capabilities. Okay, these three things are key pillars, okay, of learning any cloud technology. Okay, and of course, above that there would be a layer of ecosystem. So for example, if you have to deploy something in an automated manner, okay, how to do that. So there are tools like Terraform, you need to use them. Or if there are cloud specific tools, like in GCP there would be a deployment manager, in AWS there can be something like Cloud Formation. Okay, if you're in the DevOps route, okay, there is in GCP Cloud Build. In Azure there is Azure DevOps. In AWS there would be code pipelines and code build. Okay, so in this manner you need to kind of understand each and every layer of technology. Okay, first understand the basics. The networking concepts remain same all across the clouds. The compute capabilities remain almost same. The offerings can be different, the billings can be different, the way in which they are represented on the console would be different. Okay, but the fundamental technology remains same. Each of them is giving you a compute capability, a CPU, a memory, and a RAM. Okay, and that is where you kind of understand the basics. The networking also is fairly similar across. Okay, it's just the added layers on top of that, how the roles are configured, how permissions are given, how firewalls work. Okay, that might differ here and there, but predominantly to start with, okay, understand these fundamental concepts. Next, after that, to get into an advanced stage of a cloud engineer, or start with some hands-on exercises. Okay, learn to deploy certain applications. Pick any application, any web app from GitHub, and start deploying it on cloud. Okay, use something like Apache Bench. Okay, which is like, you can scale up and scale down your applications, to understand whether the scaling is actually working or not. Understand where exactly your application needs to be configured, whether it's the database that is causing a problem, whether it's the API that is causing the problem. So understand these layers. Okay, by using these open source tools, and then you can obviously, like, you can get into a senior level or an architecture position, okay, where you would be designing large scale applications. So solve for these things, and I'm sure like the your path to cloud becomes much easy. And obviously stay connected on these community channels, okay. You get to learn a lot. You can connect with us as CD experts or anyone in the Google developer communities as well. We run cloud communities, so that is also another channel to kind of explore and keep learning. So yeah, that I hope that answers.
Yes, sir. We just have one more question. How to
Sure.
prepare for Google Cloud Architecture Professional Certificate?
Okay. So, great question again. So one possible way is obviously to gain an understanding on these fundamental areas which I mentioned in the previous answer. But apart from that, the only way to kind of give a certification, okay, or crack a certification for that matter, is by practicing. Okay, the more you practice hands-on skills on cloud, okay, then only you are going to kind of understand the scenarios, the questions that are going to come in an say an architect level certification. And trust me, like architect level certifications are more scenario based, so it's good to have some practical, I would say a significant practical exposure to cloud technologies, or specifically GCP if you're considering that certification. So gain some practical exposure and then aim for those certifications. I'm sure you
Wow.
will crack that. Also, if I just reiterate, okay, from our community side of things, we run study camps or road to certification as a program, okay, that was used for multiple certifications on GCP, whether it's the associate engineer, whether it's the pro cloud architect, or the DevOps engineer or security engineer. These all platforms are available. You can still get connected on those channels. You can view those. Probably those sessions might be available, so you can view them and understand them to gain a lot of understanding around these certifications. So, but yes, one bottom line is don't go for any sort of material or dumps that are available. They don't really help in the long run. Okay, it might get you an interview, but it won't be able to help you in your job. So please don't do it that way. Study well, whether if you are taking like 3 months or 6 months, but the more you practice rigorously, you're going to crack the certification in a much better way and with flying colors. So I hope that answers it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's all the questions we have for now. Thank
Okay.
you so much, sir, for a great session and also for answering the questions in a detailed manner. Thank you so much,
Sure.
sir.
Thanks, Zara. Thanks, Vani. Thanks again, GDSC WOW, for having me. And feel free to get connected on my LinkedIn and Twitter handles. Thank
Sure,
you.
sir.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, sir. So, Zara, don't you think that it's amazing how fascinating cloud technology is? I mean, you think you understand it, but then there's always so much more to explore. What do you all say? Thank you, Dharmesh, sir.
Absolutely.
I'm sure a lot of cloud enthusiasts have found answers to their questions. So, moving on, we're back to the part where it all gets exciting and we all start scratching our brains. It's amazing to see so much enthusiasm and commitment. You all surely are an amazing audience. Now, my colleagues will share the link of the cloud quiz with you all. Rules are the same. You have about 3 minutes to complete the quiz. All the best.
So, folks, only few seconds left. Do quickly, hurry up.
All the best.
All the best, folks. Okay, so it's time's up, folks. You just got over with the first quiz, and I hope congratulations to all who have successfully attempted it. So let's have a quick introductory session now. So, hey, folks, how are you all doing? So, I hope you all are really enjoying our sessions. And if you guys are enjoying our sessions, please drop a hashtag GetSetWoW to show your enthusiasm. And what do you say, Niloy?
Yeah, obviously. I think our audience is quite excited for the upcoming events.
Wow, wow, very nice. I can see many done on the quizzes, and people are already starting the hashtag get set wow. Yes, keep the enthusiasm high because there's a lot and lot and more to come.
Wait, Srishti, but
Okay,
I
so
think we
Niloy,
have not already introduced ourselves. So probably we should introduce ourselves and then we can move forward.
yes, I think the folks are really currently confused about who we are and why we suddenly blabbering out of nowhere. So let me introduce myself first. So my name is Srishti Majumdar. I am the GDSC lead of Shiliguri Institute of Technology.
And hey folks, I am Niloy Shikdar. I am the GDSC lead of Jalpaiguri Government Engineering College from Jalpaiguri.
So, hey Naloy, you know what? I really enjoyed today's cloud session a lot, and I finally got to learn how I can actually implement my 30 days of GCP. You know, like I just realized that remember the GDSC, like under we did a 30 days of GCP program, and I finally got to know that apart from goodies, it has a lots and lots of uses too. So, what do you say, Naloy, about it?
Yeah, obviously. And what I feel like, I personally like Flutter a lot. And the session we had today by Pawan Kumar was extremely helpful. The roadmap that Nikita shared on day one definitely helped a lot of beginners to start their journey on Flutter. Also, the future aspects that Deven Joshi shared yesterday with all the students were very insightful. What about you, Srishti? Which session or the technology interests you the most?
Okay, see, to be very honest, if you guys ask my personal favorite was the web session by Vrijraj Singh. Do you see his slides were so interesting and funny, especially the GIFs.
Yeah.
And I guess you all know, like, folks have also seen that the slides too, like the GIFs, they were so funny. So, what do you folks think? Which one was your favorite? Please mention your favorite tech out of the three. Is it mine, like a web, or your side on the Flutter?
Yeah. So probably like after the cloud session, I really crave for some designing. So a good design is something that always attracts users. What do you say, folks? Don't you all want to get your hands dirty with some UI UX design?
Come on, why won't they? Especially when it's conducted by some really, really, really great and interesting and amazing speaker who is none other than Mr. Puneet Chawla, who is the founder of Design Wings.
Great. So now I would like to call upon Mr. Puneet Chawla. We welcome you to this great event, and we are thankful that you took out time from your busy schedule to address our enthusiastic audience with your knowledge. So Puneet, the stage is all yours.
Thank you guys for having me in this session. Love your coordination. You guys are doing a lovely work with the entire event.
Thank you,
So
sir.
kudos to
It's
you
really
guys for
an
that.
Thank
honor.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It's really an honor.
Awesome, awesome. So okay, so I'm just gonna get started. We're not gonna waste any more time. I'm sure some people are looking forward for UI and UX for sure. So I'm just gonna quickly share my screen, and we're gonna quickly get started with a little really cool activity I have prepared for you guys. I think it'll be a very gamified session, very interactive session with you guys. It's not going to be boring old or what is UX and what is UI. We're actually going to get down to something really cool today. So really quickly, just going to share my screen. Awesome, awesome. I guess they can see. Yep, multiple windows for sure. Okay, so when the team reached out to me, they said, "Hey Puneet, we would love for you to have some cool content up on stage." I said, "What should I even prepare? What should I even make for the people, because everything's already covered." So I actually looked at the website and it said, "Let the user be. Let's be the user and experience the interface." So I said, this kind of reminds me of a little UX process that we like to call expert heuristic analysis. So I said, okay, let's do that. So today we have a really nice session, that I've prepared for you guys. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Okay, so this is probably one of the most important parts of UX design, in my opinion, because I feel it helps companies, organizations really get started with changing UI and changing the experience to really fit the user's requirements. And today we're actually going to look at exactly that. So when we talk about heuristic evaluation, what does that even mean? I'm sure it seems like a bunch of blabber to you guys, but it has a very interesting meaning to it. So heuristic basically means a bunch of metrics that you check out. You basically check mark when you're looking at a certain thing. So heuristics can be certain factors that make an experience what it is, or an experience better. So the heuristic evaluation involves, a set of testers, designers getting on board and talking about how a certain user interface or experience overall can be improved. Now, when we talk about expert heuristic evaluation, it's basically with experts. So the same concept, but with experts in mind. So experts could be mostly usability testers or usability analysts who have expertise in how the user uses something. They have worked with a lot of users up front as well. Oftentimes, UX designers and researchers will also have some of this knowledge available, but it is often people who are either in the line of usability or the UX designers overall. So a bunch of UX designers get together and do heuristic evaluation, and that is what is expert heuristic evaluation. So I'm sure I've broken this down for you guys so that you can understand a little better. So basically, based on certain metrics or principles, seeing where a certain user interface or an entire experience in itself is lacking or can be improved based on already set principles or based on already set standards. And this is generally fit best with experts because they already know the standards, correct? Oftentimes explaining that to the user is a little difficult, but an expert already knows that. So that is why I feel expert heuristic and evaluation is very important. You can call it evaluation, analysis, it's up to you. Now, before we even get into something more interesting, why is it even done? Why would we even conduct anything that can help improve the product rather than just getting straight to it? Why can't we just improve the product without doing all this? Well, first of all, it helps to improve the usability. When I say usability, I'm sure everyone's here heard of the term user friendliness. When we say user friendly, it basically means that it's the ease of use. And ease of use is often affected by the usability of an application. It's as simple as it sounds. Is the application, website, element, feature, whatever it is, usable? Is it easy to use? Can the user just open the app and start using it? That's the benchmark. It reduces the problems and errors. So often what happens is if we skip this and we just start designing, we start improving stuff, we incorporate ideas and then send it to testing, we will realize that there's so many issues when we get to the testing phase. And this is the phase when we are actually pushing this out to the developers to develop into a final product. So if at this stage we have any issues, we're going to regret it because we'll have to do the entire process again. Now, this entire process is generally done in the middle of the design process when we're creating wireframes. I'm sure everyone's heard of the word wireframes. Basically, like a little blueprint of what the user interface will finally look like. So before we get down to all the visual aesthetics and adding all the elements, creating designs in Figma or any other tool, we get down to creating it. We get down to doing some analysis or evaluation of it. Oftentimes, it can also happen at the stage of redesign. As I've stated here as well, it is done before a redesign. So if your company or if you yourself want to redesign your old designs, you will look at this entire process as a whole. So when we're looking at heuristic evaluation or expert heuristic evaluation, these are 3 to 4 factors why we really want to do it at certain stages of the design or the development life cycle in general. Now, what does this process even look like? When we're looking at heuristic evaluation, how do we even conduct it? How do we do it? So the first step is always to understand why we are doing it and to get some context. Now, once you have understood the product well, okay, this is what the product does, or this is what the website does, whatever it is. And now we also have some context. What are we even looking at? You can look at a page and you can be like, okay, it's a page. What else? So when you have good context of how the user is going to use the page or application or software, whatever it is, how the user is going to use it, what is the user's goal? So if we go to, say, a banking app, what's the user's goal? He'll either transfer money or he can look at his transactions that he's made in the past. There can be a UPI set. It could be anything that you're doing on that banking application, but having context of what the user is looking for on the page, on the product, whatever it is very important. And of course, a bunch of other things like personas and goals. What I might use a banking application for, a 60-year-old man might be using it for different reasons, correct? So it's always good to have context. Now, defining the heuristics. Heuristics, as I said earlier, it's a bunch of factors. It's a bunch of metrics or factors that we take to kind of see, okay, this is the area we want to look at when we're looking at this page. Okay, it could be consistency. How consistent is the website? How consistent is the software or application? System response. If you click on a button, it takes like 30 seconds to load the next page. You'll be like, did I even click the button? You get me? Visibility. If you can't even look at, say, if you're on the banking application, you don't even know where to log in from. You can't see the login button. How will you log in into your account? So that's visibility. Error reduction. If you make an error, okay, there is, you enter a password, it's the wrong password. And then the page just refreshes. There's no message saying there's a wrong password. I see a lot of applications and websites still having that issue. We don't even know what the problem is with the password. They say either the email or the password is incorrect. So I have to put both of them again. So these are a lot of issues that we can have, but heuristics kind of create that benchmark for us. Walk through the product and test out based on heuristics. So when you're looking at heuristics, okay, that's fine, but you'll have to walk through the website. You'll have to see the entire process. You'll have to do it yourself and see where it's lacking or where it can be improved. Analyze and document. Once you've done that, you should take notes. You should type everything down. Okay. You should, once it is done, you can take out data. Okay, this is an issue which is happening with 10 experts. Or if you're doing it with users or normal people, okay, this is a issue that we're having with 10 people. That means this is a very, this is a issue which is occurring again and again. We should really focus on this. Helps you set clear goals and helps you understand what really needs fixing at the moment or quicker, So it helps you prioritize as well. So these are a bunch of steps that I've taken down to I've simplified most of it. Sometimes when you get deep into it, the steps also increase, but this is what you should know to begin with. Now, we want to take an example, but of course, you guys need to be involved in this now. So this is where the chat function comes into place. In the chat, let me know a website, maybe you like, maybe you hate, you would like that website to be fixed. And we're going to do that here on spot. Because I feel that's the best way we can learn heuristics is by talking about it, by actually going through a website and looking at what the improvements can be made, what's there that can be added. Go ahead quickly. Tell me in the chat real quick. a website. Give me a link so that I can open it here. Give me a link. Yeah, so guys, give me a quick link to whichever website you think we can take as an example for heuristics. We can improve that website. We can, add something to that website, something that you hate. Somebody saying government sites are so crappy. Yeah, but let me know quickly. Give me a link to whichever website. Yeah, open it up and give me a link. SBI website. Okay, that's an interesting one as well. W3 schools web app. Okay, website. We can check out the website as well. Any government website. Okay, this is a problem with government websites. No? Okay, so let's take SBI's website. I hope they don't mind. But we're going to take SBI's website. I'm sure everybody in India at least knows what SBI is, the State Bank of India, another banking website. So quickly, I'm just gonna open SBI. Just search for it on Google, State Bank of India. Let's check it out. Okay, so straight up, it looks whack, but we're not judging it off this. We're going to judge based on certain heuristics. What I'm going to do is quickly, I'm going to take a screenshot of this so that we can see. Just still here. I think the first fold we're going to take for the reference here, we're going to go back to our Figma, and I have another page ready for this purpose as well. Okay. So I've basically divided this exercise into these different pages here, different artboards, so as to say, and we're gonna take notes. Hopefully, towards the end of the session, I can share this particular page with you guys, so that you can have a look at what we've done till now. I would love for you guys to get involved in this. When I'm showing you certain heuristics, I want your opinions in the chat box real quick. Okay, so real quick. Straight off the bat, visibility. Okay. Now, I've not specified visibility of what, but what I'm going to do is we're going to take visibility of CTAs. For example, here, CTAs mean call to action. Call to action could be buttons, could be links, could be anything. So here we're going to look at the visibility of certain CTAs or sections that are important for us. Okay. So straight off the bat, the really good thing that is off here, nothing negative, is that personal banking and corporate banking, they have their own sections, which is great. You can quickly log in. Login is a very visible button straight up right there. You can quickly log in right after personal banking. So nothing wrong with the UX or the visibility here in that case. However, when we look at visibility, we should also look at how easy it is to find something. If it's visible, it should be easy to find. But here there is a big issue. Now, there are way too many options in a small amount of space, which means the user is going to think right before he's logging in. Or if this is the first time he's coming to the website, he doesn't have extremely clear goals. He will be very confused where to go next. Okay. So here if that is something we find is an issue here, if there are too many options right here, right around login, that means we should type it down. We should note it down because we're doing some evaluation for this. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little comment here. Figma allows me to do that very easily. Is add a little comment. Too many options for new users. Again, no correct or wrong answers. That's the best part about UX. You never can have a wrong or a right answer. Everything is up to debate. Okay, so the visibility of CTAs overall is great. One more issue that we have for visibility is visibility of certain options on screen, navigatable options. When you look at this, guys, services, mobile, there's so many options. Half of them are literally short forms to God knows what. And there's literally no differentiation between them. There's just one line of multiple set of links. Again, doesn't even seem something that we can click straight off the bat. And it's something that has very little space between this section and your navigation up right here. So I'd say there is issue when it comes to navigation. The visibility of each element is lacking because they're very close and literally are in line with each other. So there are so many options you're going to read through. Okay. In UX, we say the best way is to have 6 to 7 options clubbed together and nothing more than that. Anything above 6 to 7 options will increase the pressure here. In technical terms, um, we call that various other names, but we mostly call that cognitive load. I'm sure some of you have heard of it, but technical terms, we call it cognitive load, increasing cognitive load. So here it's increasing cognitive load, and there is less visibility of each option. So yeah, I'm just typing real quick, so I'm going to be making a lot of issues, a lot of typos here, but that's fine. So here we've already taken a look at some of the visibility here, but that's about it for this section. What we're going to do is move down a little bit. Now, what do you think of this? Is each and every section easily visible? Yes. So visibility wise, this section has no issues. It's well placed, it's well spaced out. So there is no issue of cognitive load here, and you can easily view everything in line here. If you move down a little bit, then you have some marketing material. Again, visibility for marketing material is great. It's an entire section just for marketing material. So we have that right here. Now, I think this is all that we need to look at from a visibility standpoint. Now, if I copy this over to something called hierarchy, oops, I think the electricity is gone. Ignore my screen. Just look at the thing that we're sharing. So here, we need to look at the hierarchy. Okay. Hierarchy means what is important should be on top. What is less important should be, towards the bottom or below that, essentially. So when we're looking at the hierarchy here, the first important thing here is, of course, the options that the bank has to provide, or the navigation, essentially. So the navigation is clearly placed on top, right below the SBI logo. That is the first thing the user is going to look. Now, apart from the visibility issues, there is, of course, clearly everything is placed right there. So we won't say there is an issue of hierarchy. What there is a little issue of is, I just stated, guys, 7 is the ideal option. Okay. So when we're looking at the 7, there are literally like 10, 15 options on top. So rather than having that, what we're going to do is we're going to write a little comment here saying, okay, so there's some issue with my screen, so I'm just going to skip that. I'll write the comment later. Now, right below that, what do we require? The second thing that I think I would say most banking people would say, okay, the important thing here is logging in. Okay. The important thing here is logging in. So we have login in right below navigation. So we have that hierarchy going for us, for sure. So we have this section right here. This is a little message. I think this is important for the user to know. And we have this right here. So the hierarchy here is pretty much great, but we would like to create a deeper hierarchy. And by deeper hierarchy, I'm sure you've gone to Amazon. And there are these little categories, and under categories, you get a lot of different other options. Or Myntra or any other website, there are few navigation options, which there's a little, drop down that comes and shows the other deeper options. So here, essentially, we need a more deeper, more, organized hierarchy, so as to say. So that is, I think, very important. Again, heuristics checked. That is something as an expert I can say is important. Logging in is great. Then you have options for support, customer care, etc. If you can't log in, this is what you really look at. Again, I have issues of electricity. I'm sorry. So again, there is no issue here. So we will not, so an issue here, Zabardasti. So that's something that we would like to avoid. Below that, again, we have options and very clearly laid out. Again, no user experience issues. Visual design can be improved, definitely. From a UX perspective, no issues. Right below that, we have, of course, your lovely marketing material, which is important. So for the bank, it is important. From business perspective, I truly understand. And from an expert perspective as well, I think marketing material here is great. Now, here I would like to say the content here is kind of flawed. An entire banner is something which is generally not necessary. Sometimes you can even fit 2 great options or 2 great marketing materials in a small area. So I'd say have multiple marketing material even having two won't increase cognitive load. User can easily see it. It's everything is visible. It's great, and the hierarchy is maintained already. So I think this is a great hierarchy. They have understood what to put and when to put it. And of course, this SBI salary account, linking a PAN with Aadhaar, I think these are important things users require, especially from a government bank. A lot we won't find multi-billionaires coming to SBI to check out their account. Correct. A lot of people will check out, say, a private bank, but SBI, we have a lot of people who. That is why they've given Hindi as well, because a lot of people who might not be equally educated as us or equally proficient with English. So having these options and Hindi is very important. So again, hierarchy is maintained, everything is there, no issues here. I think you guys have started to understand this a little bit as well, is how you can even do this on your own. I'm doing it, blabbering this, but if you look at design principles, if you study design principles and you want to test them out, this is where you should come to. Control and freedom. Okay. So great thing that I need to say here is the Hindi. This is right here. It's very easy to view. I'd say accessibility wise, 0. Okay. Because if someone's colorblind, the green and blue has no contrast. Okay. Especially these shades. So I'd say control and freedom, I'd say great. +1 for control and freedom, because you can change language quickly. Again, we remembered the visibility point. So we come back here and we say, okay, this is less contrast. Definitely should have more contrast or should be placed somewhere else for sure. Correct? So this is something that we have here. Great activity. Now we have control and freedom. We've pasted, okay, Hindi is something that is great, something that should be there. There's freedom. There's freedom to ask for help. This is great. But does this need a separate section, or could it have more proficiency? Does it have to be repeated in both sections? Not necessarily. They can have just a little section right below this, which says new user registration or whatever, or how do I, or help can be separate. So control and freedom is great, but have less repetition for this freedom that we're giving the user to just quickly contact the customer support. Here again, there's no sense of freedom, so as to say it's a static website. It doesn't change. The options don't change every day. So I think from that point of view, great. One more thing which I think is great is having the option to select what kind of business you have or what kind of banking procedure you want to take through here. So this is a great point here. However, if I'm a new business corporate banking user, I will not know what this is. Okay. So clearly something that can confuse users, new corporate banking users, but here is a registration option. However, I'd say still improve this, make this less confusing or give a better message. So along with the freedom, there is clarity, which is important. We could obviously argue that that's a separate heuristic, but we're just giving this to improve this heuristic in the future as well. More useful links we have. Okay, so we can just check out all the stuff from here. That's great. This is the fact that, you have FAQs and other services here. Great. So control and freedom not required for a website like this, but say if you go to, say, a dashboard for YouTube or Razorpay or whatever, dashboards have to have a lot of control and freedom. The user can literally interact with the dashboard, edit the dashboard to his preferences. That should be a point to remember. Consistency and standards. Straight up, the consistency here is A1. It seems like you're on SBI website. The colors are consistent. It's dark blue is there SBI and light blue are for some things here. What I personally don't like as a designer from my perspective is the usage of icons. The iconography is not consistent here. Again, an expert will be able to say that. Oftentimes a user might miss it, but it does affect the user interface. So here, the icons are not consistent. Guys, did you notice that? These are some things that, as a designer, if you've been working for a long time, you catch like that. Yeah, that's why experts are needed for that. Apart from that, the links are great. I think that is wonderful. The buttons are a little off here. As you can see, the buttons have varied paddings everywhere. Everything's separate padding for this, separate padding for that. I feel buttons and interactive elements should have similar paddings, especially if you can afford it. So very different from other buttons. Sorry for the typos. I'm not going to change that right now, but that's okay. Then apart from that, marketing material is okay. I think it's in line with the brand. As blue and yellow they've used. Okay, fine. But that's okay. That's cool. So I think we have all that. Typography is also more or less consistent. They're literally using some very basic font. Do let me know in the chat if you know what font this is. But very basic, consistent font, no issues. Not a lot of problems with consistency. I like that actually. So that's something that we already have here, and that's wonderful. Again, something that we can always go deeper into with the website, with the flow and everything, but we're just looking at the homepage or the static landing page here. Now, if we take the last two heuristics, we'll brush through real quick so that we can have a nice question answer round before I go. Aesthetics. Okay. Don't diss SBI's website, huh? They might be watching. So aesthetics, I'll give it a 2.5 out of 10, I guess, because visually this is very lacking. Till here it's great. The logo they, I think, redesigned recently. This is wonderful. The logo, I think, is very simple and very easy to grasp, very memorable, clean, flat, just the way the modern logos are looking like. Anything below that, bye-bye. Because this is not what the standard for a $1 billion company essentially is. So here, if we're looking at this section right here, the aesthetics are extremely lacking. First of all, that thing that comes to mind is lack of playfulness. There's literally, it's very boring. It's extremely boring. So lack of playful elements. No illustrations, just old icons, just pick from some, they pick it from some old website. What is this? This icon should be like 24 pixels. They just stretched it out. Okay, because it says personal banking. Nah. So that's, I think, very inconsistent and also very weird to look at. Apart from that, we have very old design. This is literally designed from 2005. Barely. I'd say even older. Sorry, SBI, I have to diss that. Okay, so apart from that, typography has taken a huge hit. Type is literally, there's only one font which is being used across the website. I can't really judge what the fonts are, but majority of the fonts are the same. A majority of the text is the same. You have this new, but this is barely a separate font. It's just a little tag here. So we have typography is taking a huge hit. They're all the same. Why is all the same font and the same weight? Same weight. There is no hierarchy here. Okay, remember we had another. I'm misspelling everything today. Pardon me for that. We were looking at visual. Were we looking at hierarchy? Yes. There is little to no hierarchy in the text or anything. It's the same thickness, same size of font everywhere. Wow. See, when we're looking at it, everything seems flawed, but can be improved. These are immediate things can be improved. And of course, everything is pretty much lacking when it comes to modern design. This is not what you call modern design for sure. So I think that's it for aesthetics. So much more can be improved, but we're not getting deeper into it. Help in diagnostics. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Straight up, you have customer care. We've not gotten deeper, but from the look of just this page, straight up. Customer care, how do I, and lock in and lock user. That's all you need. So customer support is there up front. How do I I wish there was better content. How do I what? And there's literally no question mark, nothing. So I wish there was better content writers and UX writers on the team would have provided better content for sure. But 100% really can't complain here when it comes to help because it's upfront. Where it's lacking is with the aesthetics. So I think we judged a bit of aesthetics, control and freedom, visibility, hierarchy, consistency and standards. Now, how do you get started with all this? I suggest, if I come back here, I suggest checking out UX laws. Now, through laws of UX or UX laws, you'll get to see all these various heuristics. They have a nice little tab here called heuristics. You have aesthetics, you have Fitts law, all the laws you need to understand as a UX designer. Very easy, complex names, huh? Because they're based on people who created it. But apart from that, it's very easy to remember. Just off the top, you'll be able to memorize this after reading it once. Okay. So once you have that, go look at a website, measure different heuristics, see what is important, what is not, and do it on your own. I think that's the best part of this activity, is that you can replicate just what I did on your own as well. Of course, you might argue you're not an expert yet, but that's how you become an expert. You practice, and you figure things out. So I think that okay. I'm just quickly going to show you just one last slide. I think I have, and that's it. That's me basically, and you can always follow me on these social handles as well as you can message me later on. Hopefully, I'll be able to answer back. But I hope you enjoyed this heuristic evaluation or heuristic analysis session. I really hope you gained something new, and you'll be practicing this on your own. Huh? Right? After this session, don't forget about it. Actually go practice it. Figma, XD, whichever tool you like, pick it up, or just on your notepad, do simple notes. Really don't care, but you should practice. So that was it.
Wow, wow, what an amazing session it was. Like, it was really insightful. And I think our audience has also loved the session, because I have seen quite a lot of Punitopi in the chat. So, yeah,
Really appreciate it.
again. And probably they have like some questions right now. So let me take a few of them for you, Puneet.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
here is the first question. How can we import XD frames in Figma without getting it altered?
Yeah, out of context question, but okay, I'll answer it. So essentially, easy answer is you really can't technically, but but yes, if you save an XD file as a dot sketch, so in XD basically you can do sketch to XD, but you can't do XD to sketch. Essentially, that's the whole concept. But Figma can allow you to import sketch files. So if you save your XD file, rename it, and say, rather than saying .xd, say .sketch, there'll be a lot of stuff broken, but that's probably the best, the closest that we've gotten. Another great way you can do it is XD has compatibility with Photoshop. So you can, if you are able to, get Photoshop, export it to Photoshop, there in Photoshop, you'll be able to export it as an SVG or as an editable SVG. Put it to Figma, it's complex. But my advice would be to just export it, convert it to Sketch somehow, find a guide on how to do that. And that's the best, easiest way to do it, essentially.
Great, great. So like we have like one more question: resources to learn UI UX from scratch.
So I think the best way to, if you're someone who doesn't even clearly know what UX is, or you'd like to know the differences between UX, product, analysis, research, all that good stuff, I'd say watch a bunch of videos. There are a lot of cool people doing it. So you'll be able to have once you have a good base, I think the best resources out there are available on YouTube. And if you're following people, I'd say. Apart from that, I just showed laws of UX. So if you're getting started, read through that. I think it'll help you understand UX a little better. Another great resource is NNG Group. It's led by Don Norman, the father of UX. So if he's the father of UX, whatever he's saying is pinpoint. So NNG Group is run by him and a bunch of other people. Go check it out. Just if you search NNG Group on Google, you'll get the website probably. And they have a lot of cool free resources there as well.
Yeah, so thank
Okay,
you.
so I'm so sorry to interrupt, but due to the time constraint, I think we
Yeah.
won't be able to take any more questions. But the questions are just flooding in the chat. And to the folks who have still their questions unanswered, please don't lose hope. You guys can drop your questions at contact@gdscwow.tech and we will get back to you as soon as possible. First of all, thank you so much, Puneet sir, once again, and we really look forward towards more such amazing sessions from you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Love,
sir.
love, love you guys, and thank you for inviting me on board. Take care, everyone.
Welcome, sir. We can again have a Puneet OP in the chat, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think now it's finally the time everyone has been waiting for. So, any guesses? What's the time now? I think the folks are now smart enough and they have already guessed what's the time now. So, it's already the time for the quiz. So, buckle up, everyone. Don't waste any more time. You have only 3 minutes to complete the quiz, and all the best to all.
All the best, everyone.
All the best, folks. We'll see you in few minutes. Folks, hurry up. Only few minutes left. I guess not even few minutes. It should be like 1 minute. So hurry up, everyone.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media because the winners from the day two, we are going to announce all of the winners from day two in our social media. So go and follow our social media.
Don't forget to follow GDSC WOW everywhere. We can already see many duns in the chat. It's really great to see those.
Uh, and the quiz is going to end right now. Yeah.
And it ends. So, okay, so folks, now the quiz time is over. We really hope that you all have answered the questions properly and completed them on time. And have also got eligible to receive exciting goodies that we stored for you all. And it's a surprise though.
Also, don't worry if you were not able to answer the questions within the time. We got you covered. We have one more quiz coming up, so make sure to follow the event properly.
You know what, Niloy? Apart from that, we also have a treasure hunt game. You know that, and I guess everyone knows that. So I want to know what my pirates are up to. Who all have completed the treasure hunt game till now? Are all the clues cracked yet till UI UX? Mention hashtag treasure to wow here.
Great. You can also drop the current level in which you are in, and if you have already completed the previous levels.
Very nice. Yes, all
Great.
cracked. Hashtag wow. It's awesome to see. Last clue awaiting. Yes, treasure to hunt cracked. Very nice to see that.
So, Srishti, we have already covered the concepts of UI UX, but can you tell me where can we apply those concepts?
See, I'll be very honest. I'm actually a web enthusiast myself. So, currently practicing web development, I have decided to implement my UI UX knowledge for designing web pages. Though I completely suck in creativity, but after watching Puneet's session, I still have got some confidence raised. So, but I would definitely like to know where my audience plans to use it. What do you all want? You want to go for the normal way of you just the designing part or go for any kind of a technology?
So, folks, drop in the chat in which domain you like to work, whether it is mobile app development or web app development. Just spam in the chat in which domain you are currently working. We are waiting for your answers.
Web.
Great.
Nice. React
Web.
OP, web development. As see, they're my folks. They've come from my gang. We all are from web. Nice to see. We have got again web app development, web dev. Nice to see. They all come from my part. Wow, it's really so great to see that we have got so many web app enthusiasts in the chat. So, what do you say, Deloy? Should we introduce our next speaker and the domain which we will be talking about?
Yeah, sure. So, surprise to all my web enthusiasts, we are finally having our hands-on development web development session, which will be conducted by Mr. Karthik Derasari. He is a full-stack developer at Media Agility.
So, please welcome Karthik sir. Thank you for taking out your valuable time to talk about web development with the audience. And if you see the chat, the audiences are already too much enthusiastic about the topic. They're so we would
True.
really like to address them.
Thank you so much, Niloy. Thank you so much, Srishti. Let me just quickly start my screen sharing and we can go forward.
Sure.
Sure.
All right. Hello, everyone. Wishing you all a very happy weekend. I'm so glad to see all of you tuning in on a Sunday evening. My name is Karthik Dirasari. As mentioned, I work as a full stack engineer at Media Agility, which is a Google Cloud Premium Partner Company. And I also contribute to GDG Cloud Ahmedabad as a community organizer. So, talking about some of my passion, I love building web applications with the capabilities of Firebase and Google Cloud Platform. So today I'll be talking more about Firebase for web, how Firebase can help you build web applications or web pages using the platform as a service, and how you can actually extend the functionalities of your web applications using managed services for building, testing, and releasing applications successfully. So, first of all, let us see what we are going to learn today and what could be the potential key takeaways from today's session. First of all, we will start with what is Firebase and why we should use it for our applications instead of the traditional systems. Then, once we learn about why, then we will look into what all services do Firebase offers and what all can we use in our applications. We are also going to build a single page dynamic portfolio website, or it could also be a portfolio web page where you can showcase all your projects, experience, and blogs. This section is going to be very interesting considering that you know the fundamentals of web, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Once we are done building our dynamic portfolio website, then I'll also be sharing one challenge with all of you, which you'll definitely love to build upon. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, let me first of all give you a glimpse of the problem that we are going to solve today. I believe that many of you must be building different projects and looking for different opportunities. So it is more of a good practice to build your profile on the internet and showcase your projects, work experience, or any blogs if you like sharing content. So many of you must have already been building their portfolio website and sharing all the good stuff that you do. But let's suppose that you are building a lot of projects, or if you're someone who likes to publish their blogs on their website every week. So manually updating all of the content could be tedious, it could be boring, and it could also be error prone sometimes. So to solve this problem, what you can do is that you can create a source of data where you input all the data, and then you can write the logic to loop through the data and display the data in a proper format on the web page. So now to store this data, you can store this data. It could be somewhere in a JSON format, it could be locally within the static files, or it could also be somewhere in a database. We'll not go much into the details of the UI UX part for now, but here's how the about section would look like. We have a very simple web page where we have two placeholders for some text and two placeholders for pictures. Here comes the project section where we have a project name, short description, tech stack, and the link to visit the project website. Next up, we have the blog section and the experience section with some sample data in it. We also have the social icons below on the page so others can connect with you. Now, we have already seen how the web page would look like, but now let us see what Firebase is and what are some of its services and how actually it can help us build and deploy a dynamic and resilient website. So Firebase is a platform provided by Google which can help you with a variety of tools and infrastructure to build and run high quality apps successfully. It helps you reach new users, it helps you keep them engaged, scale up an infrastructure, in addition to earning money. So Firebase handles all of the essentials while you can spend more time and efforts on building the application logic and the application code. Now, Firebase is made up of multiple products that you can mix and match according to your needs. All Firebase products are categorized as products to build better applications, products to build and improve the application quality, and grow your application. Build tools help you scale the application development processes without managing the core infrastructure, while there are also some products that you can use to release and monitor your application's performance. And let's say if you're planning to grow your application, then you could also use different Firebase products that can help you with user engagements. It can help you with messaging campaigns and A/B testing also. So now let us see how we can use Firebase in different client libraries. So Firebase also provides detailed documentation and cross-platform SDKs, which could help you build and ship applications on Android, iOS, web, C++, Unity, or the admin SDK. Now let us quickly get started with Firebase. So navigate to the firebase.google.com website and get yourself logged in. Once you have logged in, click on the console button on the top right to navigate to the Firebase console. Once we have landed here, click on Create a New Project button to kickstart a new Firebase project if you do not have already. Here, you would need to give your project a name. If it also prompts for the Firebase terms, then you can read and agree the Firebase terms and click on the Continue button. Here you need to set up Google Analytics for your project. So if you're looking forward to using Google Analytics for your project for crash analytics or cloud messaging or any analytics services, you can enable it. But for the see, for the demo purpose, we are not going to use Google Analytics for now. So you can uncheck Google Analytics and click on the Create Project button. Now, once you're done with all of the good stuff, you will see such a page once your project is ready to use, everything is ready to use, and click on the Continue button to proceed to the Firebase console. Now, we would like to use Firebase with a web application. So click on the web icon that you see on the screen to proceed further. Here we need to name our web application. So let's name our web application as GDSC WOW 2022 Web Track, and let's go further. As we are planning to use Firebase for a web application, so we are also going to use Firebase hosting to host our application on the internet. So let's also set up Firebase hosting right here and click on the register application button. Here is the Firebase configuration for your application. So you could either use npm package manager, any module bundlers to use Firebase SDKs in your application. If you are not planning to use any module bundlers or any package managers, then you could also simply get started by simply attaching the script type, which is type as a JavaScript module. You can add it and you can plug it in your web application and get started. So for now, we can copy this script tag and let's go in the code. Now, coming to the application code, you must be having some HTML files, you must be having some CSS and JavaScript files. So I usually prefer to have different functionalities and different JavaScript modules. So I use this type of directory format where we have the HTML file in the root directory, CSS files inside a styles directory, and JavaScript files inside a JavaScript directory. I also prefer keeping Firebase code separately in different JavaScript modules. One module could be for the Firebase initialization, one module could be for authentication, file store purpose, cloud storage purpose. So I prefer keeping Firebase code separately so that I can quickly navigate to the code. So now create a firebase.js file. You need to paste the Firebase configuration that we copied from the Firebase console to your application code to initialize the Firebase application inside your code. Now add this script file as a JavaScript module inside your index.html file in the after the body part. Now let's switch to the Firebase console back. So Firebase CLI is required for using Firebase hosting. So go ahead and install Node.js and Firebase CLI on your machines. Once you are done with installing that, we can use these commands to deploy our application. Firebase login is the command that we need to use to log in our account and project for initialization purpose. Firebase init is also to initialize our project, and Firebase deploy is used to deploy our application. We'll learn more about this later today once we build our application. Now, as we are back to the Firebase console, here you can see the list of different services for building the application, adding analytics, and releasing the application on the left navigation panel. So today, as discussed, we are going to build the single page portfolio website using Cloud Firestore as a managed service for storing all the data, and Firebase hosting to host all our application code to the internet. So let's get started. At first, let us get a quick understanding of the Cloud Firestore service. Let's see what it is. So Cloud Firestore is a flexible and scalable NoSQL database for mobile, web, and server development from Firebase and Google Cloud. Here you can store data in documents that contain field mappings to different values. These documents are stored in collections, which are containers for your documents. And these documents support many different data types, from simple strings and numbers and it could also be too complex nested objects. So you can also create sub collection within documents, and you can also build different data structures that scale as your database grows. So Firebase also Firestore also keeps your data in sync across different client apps through real-time listeners. It also offers offline support for mobile and web so that you can build responsive applications that can work regardless of the network latency. So it also offers seamless integration with other Firebase services and other different Google Cloud products. It could be Cloud Functions or any other Google Cloud product. Now, to use Cloud Firestore, you need to click on the Firestore database in the Firebase console, and then you need to click on the Create Database button to initialize Cloud Firestore database. Now, before creating a database, you can define if you're using it as a production environment or if you're using it more as a developer or a testing environment. Firebase security rules will be applied accordingly. If you choose the production mode, then the read and write operations would be disabled by default. And if you are planning to use Firebase in more in a development or testing phase, then you can choose to use Cloud Firestore in test mode, which allows you to perform read and write operations till a certain timestamp. Now, once that is done, you need to choose the location for your database, which you cannot change later on. Here you would be having different options categorized as multi-regional and regional. So let's suppose if your application is going to be accessed over different regions defined by GCP, then multi-regional option would be a good fit. But let's suppose if your application is going to be consumed over a single region, then you should opt for a regional option. Also, on a side note, the setting which you would be choosing right here would be also applied to this cloud storage bucket by default. So click on the enable button once you choose the option to create your Firestore database. Now, once your Cloud Firestore is enabled on your project, here you would be able to see different data in the cloud in the data navigation panel, security rules, indexes, and the usage for your database. We'll have a walkthrough of this around the session. Now let me also just give you a quick recap on the data storage pattern. So a collection in Cloud Firestore could consist of different number of documents and a number of sub collections. Now each document can have different key value based data. Let us first of all start by creating a new collection called user info. In this collection, we would be storing different user related data inside a single document. So each document in Cloud Firestore is recognized by a unique document ID. This document ID could be either auto-generated or it could also be user-defined. So you could also assign a custom ID per document, but now let us choose the auto ID option for now. Once we have finalized the document ID, we need to add data in the document. So here you can see we are inserting data in a key and value pair. So the field is represented as the key. So let's suppose if you would like to have a first name field, so we can have first name as the let's suppose if you would like to have first name as the key, then we can have first name as the field. The values of a document can support many different data types. It could also support simple strings, numbers, boolean, to complex nested objects. So you need to choose the right choice for your data. Let us add one more field in our document which will help us in presenting data in our portfolio website. Once we have added the data, this is how the Cloud Firestore user interface would look like once we have entered all of our data. Here we have a user info collection on the left and we have a single document inside the collection. This is how we can actually manually add data in Cloud Firestone, but this is not more of a good practice to add data manually. So we can also add data programmatically using different Firebase client libraries. For the scope of today's session, we are going to use Firebase JavaScript based client library, so we can have a walk through of that. Now, I'm also sure that many of you might be concerned about the security of our database. So let me tell you that you can add security rules to Firestore where you can allow or decline access to different types of users. You can also write security rules for individual collections or individual documents. So once you are done with the development, you can edit the Firebase rules and click on the publish button and wait for a few minutes to roll out the new Firebase security rule, which would be applied to your database. Now, let's quickly see what is the Firebase configuration code. So here we are using Firebase 9 version in our application, which has the functionality of tree shaking. So here we are importing only the initialize app method from the Firebase client library hosted on the internet. This function is essential to initialize Firebase in your application. Instead of using the gstatic.com URL, you can also use the Firebase SDK if you are using a package bundler or uh, any package for Firebase, or maybe building your website. Now here we have defined the configuration of our Firebase project. Here we have the API key, we have the authorization domain, project ID, and different key value pairs storing information about our Firebase project. Now once we have initialized all of the configuration, we need to initialize the Firebase application by passing on the Firebase configuration to the initialize app function. Now, once we have initialized our application, now let's suppose if we would like to create a new collection in our Cloud Firestore, then we would also like to add a new document. Then we need to import the collection and add doc method from the Firebase client library. If you have package bundlers and if you are using Firebase as a package, then you can also import from the package itself. For this, we are also going to call the getFirestore method to get the reference of the Cloud Firestore database that we have already created. Now here we are calling the addDoc method asynchronously by passing the collection function with the data storage pattern that we would like to create. Here we are passing users in the collection method, which creates a users collection if it already does not exist. After that, we are also going to add the document data that we would like to have as a function parameter to the addDoc method. This is how we can actually structurize and create a new collection and add a new document programmatically. Now, let's suppose if we would like to simply add or update a document in a collection with a custom ID of our choice, then we can use the setDoc method for the same purpose. We need to pass a document ID as a parameter to the setDocument method to add or update a document in a collection with a custom ID. Now, read operation is also one of the most important from the CRUD operations. So let's suppose if we want to read data from our Firestore database, then we would like to do, which is already we would like to do in our portfolio website. So let's import the collection and getDocs method from the Firestore package and initialize the database reference. Once we are done with that, we are calling the getDocs method by passing the collection function as a parameter while calling the collection function. While calling the collection function, we are passing the database reference and the collection name. Once we run this function, we would have the data in the users variable, which we are looping through below. So for each document, we need to call the data method to retrieve the data from that particular individual document. Now let's suppose if we would like to perform a delete operation, then we need to import the doc and delete doc method from the Firestore package. Once we are done with that, we need to call the delete doc method with the doc method as the parameter while passing the database reference, collection name, and document ID. So this is how we can perform create, read, update, and delete functionalities to our Firestore database using the JavaScript client library. Now, specifically for our portfolio website, I have initialized the data in a single document in the user info collection, and all this data is related to the user information which we would like to use in our website. After that, I have also defined a new collection called projects, and in this collection, we have all different projects as individual documents having different fields such as name, description, GitHub URL, and so on. Apart from these, I have also initialized the experience collection where we have different work experience related information in different individual documents having details such as company name, company URL, designation, and so on. Lastly, we have the blocks collection where we have blocks as individual documents having name and description fields. So now in our application code, we have a single method to fetch all the different collections and all different documents from our Cloud Firestore database. Here we are fetching a single document from the user info collection and multiple documents from the projects collection. Once we have the project's data, we are pushing the data in a local variable and we are passing on that variable to the show project data function, which would be performing the DOM manipulation to our website. We are not going much into the DOM manipulation detail and how we are going to interact JavaScript based upon the data manipulation, but this is how the DOM manipulation would look like. So we have defined unique IDs to HTML code to insert different values dynamically using JavaScript. Here we are fetching the HTML element by its unique ID, and then we are inserting the data that we have fetched from our Cloud Firestore database. So for the project's purpose, this is how we are looping through the projects array to create HTML elements for projects dynamically using our Cloud Firestore data that we have already fetched. Now we are good with the Firebase or the Firestore part, but now let's say if we would like to host our application, so we would also want all different types of users from all different locations to use our application. And for that purpose, we need to make our application accessible to everyone. Here comes Firebase hosting. So whether you are deploying a single landing page or if you are deploying a complex progressive web application, Firebase hosting gives you the right infrastructure, features, and tooling tailored to deploying and managing websites and applications. It also provides fast and secure hosting for web application, static and dynamic content, and microservices. So, with a single command, you can quickly deploy and serve your application to a global CDN network, and all this content is served over a SSL connection, which is going to be from the closest edge server on Google's global CDN. Firebase also provides SSL certificates for all your domains so that all your contents is also served very securely. And yes, you can also view and test your changes before going live using different Firebase commands in your CLI. So let us see what are those commands. Firebase CLI is required to use Firebase hosting in your machine. So go ahead and install Node.js and the Firebase CLI on your operating systems. Once you have installed the CLI, you can log into your Firebase account using the Firebase login command. And to initialize the Firebase hosting, you need to run Firebase init hosting command, and it will prompt you for your project and a public root directory. Now, this directory contains all your publicly served static files. It could include your index.html file and all different assets that you would want to deploy to your Firebase hosting. So if you don't have an index.html or 404 HTML file in your public root directory, then Firebase will create them for you. So if you already don't have, and if you are likely performing build operations, then now you need to move all your files and assets in this directory to serve these files. Firebase init command will also prompt if your application is a single page application. So you can also choose that accordingly to rewrite all the other URLs to the index.html part. Now, before deploying your live site, you will also want to view and test your changes. So Firebase hosting enables you to view and test your changes locally and interact with the emulated backend project resources using different Firebase serve command and Firebase emulated start command to view and test your changes. So once you are done with all the development and testing, you can deploy your application using the Firebase deploy command. Once you run the Firebase deploy command, you will be returned with a URL which is going to be a live URL hosted on the internet. So now, as we have not got much into the code integrity and how the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are working, so here's the application code hosted on the GitHub. So you could simply check the application code. This website is built using simple HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript. We are using Bootstrap as a UI library, and we have simple CSS for styling purpose. Now you can refer to these links to understand the functionalities and how the dynamic website is working on different read purpose. Now, here's a very interesting challenge for you to do once you are done building your dynamic portfolio website. Today we learned about what is Firebase and how you can utilize its services to extend the capabilities of your web application. So now let's suppose once you have built your dynamic portfolio website, you can also build a simple dashboard which can perform create, read, update, and delete operations on your cloud Firestore database so that you don't have to visit Firebase console to update the data manually, which is not really more of a good practice. You can also add Firebase authentication optionally to the web application to add security and authorization to your cloud Firestore database. So here are the steps for the same, and let me know if you need more information or any help while completing this challenge and building your next web application dashboard using Firebase. With that, that's all for today. Thank you so much everyone for joining in. Hope you had a very good learning experience, and also much thanks and kudos to the GDSCWOW team for organizing this event and sharing this opportunity with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Karthik sir, for joining with us today. And it was indeed a wonderful session. And being a web enthusiast too, I really enjoyed the session a lot, and surely our audience did too.
Yes,
Thank you
of
so much.
course. I can already check the chat and can see the enthusiasm the folks are showing. Guys, spam the chat with web hashtag webdev or GetSetWoW if you really like the session now. Karthik sir OP.
Great.
I can see many Karthik sir OP right now in the chat. They definitely love the session a lot.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so since we are running out of time, we request all of you to drop in your queries at contact@gdscwow.tech, and we'll definitely try to answer all of your queries. So, yeah, thank you very much, Karthik sir, for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed the session too. Our audience has also enjoyed the session too, and hope to see you again in our upcoming sessions.
Sure. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy weekend.
Thank you, sir. Though we
Thank you,
have no
sir.
weekends.
Right.
Okay, so it's finally time for my favorite part. It's like the goodies time.
Wait, what? What did you just say?
Okay, sorry. Like, oops, my bad. Actually, I went with the web quiz. Like, I always feel that these quizzes are really an easy gateway to get goodies. So, folks, what are you waiting for? Buckle up, everyone. You don't have much time. Only 3 minutes in hand and complete the task perfectly. We will see you in few minutes. All the best, everyone.
All the best.
Folks, hurry up. Only few seconds left and not even 1 minute. So, hurry up, everyone. The time is running out, and this is the final quiz of the day. Your last chance to receive goodies. So, hurry up, guys.
And the time is up. So I hope all of you have
Wow.
already submitted the answers. And yeah, and I can see Srishti, our audience is definitely enjoying Treasure to Wow. Like they are just commenting us and they are asking for the answers. But I really have this concern
Okay,
about one thing.
okay. So, what is it actually?
Okay, so I was wondering about learning so much about different technologies, roadmaps, hands-on sessions, and future opportunities. That's great. But I still have a doubt about how do I excel in my career and what do I need to grab a great job or how even apply for it or how to get referrals.
Okay, so I really don't want to spoil the surprise for everyone here. Our next session is going to be on not any tech domain or any hands on session. It's going to be on a career guidance session for those who want to understand the job culture and get placed in good companies with the right set of knowledge.
Okay, folks. So, as Srishti has already mentioned the surprise, but I really wanted to know the dream company of our audience. So, folks, Let us know in the chat about your dream company. Is it Google? Is it Microsoft? Is it Amazon? Just spam in the chat. What is your dream company? Wow, I can see so many of them are actually want to join Google,
Googles. There are
and
so
few,
many Googlers out there.
yeah, and there are also few folks
So
those who
many
want to
Googlers
join
out there.
Amazon,
Very nice to see that.
Microsoft.
Microsoft, my own company, Google OP. Nice, nice. So many enthusiastic people right there. Sprinkler, Goldman Sachs, Alphabet parent company of the company. Nice to see so many Googlers out here.
Great. So we would like to welcome Jaideep Prasad. He is the founder of Mentro and an engineering and product enthusiast. He has previously worked with Vedantu, Trail, and Geo. He has been a part of Google Summer of Code as a student developer and mentor. We welcome you, Jaideep. The stage is all yours.
Welcome,
Sure,
Jaideep
guys.
sir.
Thanks.
We would like to have you on
Yeah,
stage.
sure. I hope I am audible and visible. Like, can you guys let me know? The chat and
Yeah, yeah.
Niloy Srishti. Yeah. Great. So yeah, like
Yes.
first of all, a very warm welcome to like everyone here. Like taking out the time on your, weekend evenings. It can be pretty, tough sometimes, right? In order to learn something and know something interesting, right? So the topic for today's session, right? Like of course, I'll be sharing my screen and we'll be going through it. So even before beginning through that, right? The first thing which I can say is that the session will be pretty short, right? Because I don't want to waste a lot of time of yours, because I've seen like you guys have been doing a lot of stuff throughout the day, right? But all I can say is that it's going to be, I like, at least from my side, it's going to be a very exciting and interesting session, right? Because it actually relates to a lot of people, right? Irrespective of your, if you want to be a web developer, if you want to be a Android developer, right? Or any kind of, like, if you want to do competitive programming, right? So yeah, like that is the kind of session we have in store for you. So I'll quickly share my screen and let's get started with it, right? Shall we? Yeah. Yeah, just let me know when my screen is visible.
Yep, your screen is visible.
Your screen is
Great.
visible and is kind of mirroring. Yes.
Got it. Cool. So great. So let's, if I have to begin today's session, right? Like of course everyone knows that it's going to be in the career development domain, right? Like especially kind of the most relatable topic for everyone, right? That how do we grab our next big opportunity, right? Be it a internship, someone maybe is in the fourth year of their college careers, right? Like, and they want to get a full-time job, right? And the most dilemmatic question in everyone's mind is that how do we get it on campus or how do we get it off campus. Many people have this question in mind that zyada companies nahi aati apne college mein, right? Like that is the kind of question which most tier 2 tier 3 colleges have in mind, that how do we actually get a good opportunity, right? A better opportunity, right? So that is all what we are gonna discuss about, and how exactly we are gonna actually get it right, the specific, very specific things which you guys need to follow, right? Which you guys need to actually execute while you are preparing, right? And that's all, right? There is no rocket science in anything, right? So yeah, and of course, as I said, like the session is bound to be very interesting and pretty short, right? So that you guys can get the crux out of it and actually apply it, right? So yeah, like of course, before, I won't be spending a lot of time here, like in the about me. Like I think the hosts have already given a very warm introduction, right? So yeah, like currently I am the founder of Mentro, right? Previously I've worked with companies like Vedantu, Geo, Trell, right? I am an open source contributor at Google's Flutter as well, right? So if you guys know about Flutter, like a lot of code which actually goes in through Flutter, like there might be something which I have written as well, right? So yeah, like along with that, like since I'm a very active open source contributor, right, since my first year of college, so I was able to do GSOC twice as well, right? So yeah, like that is the kind of community, like mentoring. I've been a mentor in open source programs as well, right? In GSOC, GCI, right? So yeah, like that is the kind of background which I can definitely tell you about myself, right? But yeah, it's again, it's not about me. So moving forward, right? So now this is the most question which I get in my DMs, right? And that is like, from there I want to make it so much relatable, right? This session, that you guys can actually get the crux, that how you actually want to go in your career, right? So the first question which I mostly receive is that, can you expect to work at a company which doesn't visit your college directly, right? So many of you guys are from tier 2, tier 3 colleges, and you guys have this question in mind, right? So of course, to break it down to you, absolutely yes, right? So if I'll tell you that more than 70% of the people who are working at top companies, especially companies which you guys are most excited about, right? Like Google, Microsoft, Intuit, PayPal, right? So more than 70% of the people working there right now are through, like, off campus. Like, it's not that they have been like placed directly through college, right? Like if they're working at senior positions or other associate roles, right? It's mostly that they are through off campus or through referrals or direct career applications, right? Like that is the kind of ratio which we have there. So that is the answer to the first question. Now the next thing is that what is the actual difference between on and off campus, right? Like when we, like, you might have seen or heard a lot of times that people talk about on campus and off campus, and how exactly both are different, and what we exactly need to do for both of them, right? So the first thing is that in on campus, like this is a very generic question, right? That of course companies will be visiting your college, like that is what on campus placement is all about, right? And in on campus, you have to hustle a bit, you have to apply at a lot of opportunities, and then you might be getting an opportunity, right? But what is the underlying process which we are missing here, right? What is the process? Like, is it ki on campus mein zyada aasan hai, off campus mein it is difficult, right? Like what is the main funda? So if I'll tell you that the process is the same for both, right? So if you're going through an on campus interview round of companies like, let's say, Google, Microsoft, so again, in there also you have to perform considerably well, right? In the interviews, you have to crack the interviews, then only you will be able to get the job, right? So if I have to say that, and that process remains the same for the off campus placements as well, right? So if you have gotten an interview opportunity, or the HR of certain company has reached out to you, seeing your profile, that you are doing good, right? Like, we want to hop on an interview with you. So that, if I eradicate that part, like the process which you have to go through, right? Like the interview rounds, it remains the same. So what is needed exactly here? Like, of course, you need to prepare well for your interviews, right? Like if you're preparing specific for companies, like if it's Google or Microsoft or Amazon, like you have to prepare specifically, right? Whenever, if you have an interview lined up for Google, you have to prepare specifically for Google. Like you have to see what kind of questions are asked in Google interviews, right? There is, for example, in Google there is a round called Googliness round, right? Which is not available in other companies, right? So you have to prepare it accordingly, right? So that is the primary difference, right? In off campus, there is this huge opportunity that is through referrals, right? So if you can get a referral, right? If you can get a referral from a professional who is working at this company, right? And he can directly refer you, and there might be a direct interview opportunity, right? If your profile actually fits, right? They, like, the professional will be referring your profile to the HR, and if the HR finds your profile perfectly fit for that role, they will directly call you for interview, right? So that is the kind of opportunity which off campus provides you, and I personally prefer off campus, because I feel that that gives me kind of like that flexibility, right? Kyunki agar main on campus ke through jata hu, like whatever college the companies, like whatever companies the college is bringing, right? And whatever roles they are hiring for, like I have to sit for that, right? But agar main off campus ke through jata hu, to like, let's say I'm a back end developer, I can apply to jobs or internships which is specifically to back end roles, right? Like technologies involving Node.js, right? And if I'm a front end developer, I will go with roles of which has in the job description it's mentioned, like let's say React, right? Or Angular, right? So that is something which I personally prefer as well, right? And that is the kind of flexibility you can get in off campus, right? While applying to, right? So yeah, like what are the kind of opportunities we are looking at, right? Like especially for freshers, like this is another question which people have, ki kitna ka package I can expect, right? Like what is the kind of thing, like if even if I'm a fresher, right? So what is the kind of thing I can expect, right? So of course we everyone knows that what kind of product MNCs we have, what kind of service based MNCs we have, right? And of course the biggest thing in the current Indian ecosystem is that the startup game which is currently ongoing, right? So you might be hearing a lot of startups becoming unicorns, a lot of like recently there was Shark Tank India, right? So the startup game is beginning to take a whole new level in India, right? And that is where the opportunity is much more, right? So there is no such thing as job crisis today, right? If you have the right skills, if you are fit for a role, like you're bound to get an interview, you're bound to crack the interview, right? So and yes, like if I'm talking about the CTCs and the kind of money, if you're thinking about the compensation and things like that, so of course it's above 10 15 LPA, like for sure, right? Even as a starting, like I'm talking about your first full-time job here, right? So that is the kind of like a minimum thing you can expect, right? So yeah, like so now the major thing is that what do you actually need, right? Like again, you might be hearing this from a lot of a lot of people, right? But how do you actually need to execute these things, and what do you mean by these things, right? So first point is that the domain skills, right? So as I said, for example, if you have like let's say if you're interested in front end development, right? So you need to know React, right? Or you need to know Angular. You must be doing projects in that, right? So that is all you need, so to showcase your domain skills. So whatever domain you're interested in, like let's say you are interested in web development, right? So make sure you have to build some projects, right? Through which the HR can see that okay, this person knows his stuff, right? Like for example, if you have mentioned in your resume that you are a web developer and web development, React JS, like let's say Angular or something, right? So they are expecting that you have made considerable level of projects, right? So that is where through how you can actually showcase your domain skills, right? So that being the first point, the second point is problem solving, right? So now when you go for interviews in product based companies and specifically MNCs, like companies like as you guys were writing in the chat, right? That companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, right? So their problem solving is plays a major role, right? For example, the first round of interviews will be your online coding rounds, right? So if you're not able to solve, like there will be 2 to 3 questions, right? Like in data through, like based on the basis of data structures and algorithms, right? So if you're not able to solve those things in a limited time, right, solve those problems, so again, like you won't be you know escalating into the further rounds of interview, right? So that is where you have to be very good at problem solving as well. So how can you do that? Of course, regular practicing on lead code platforms like CodeChef or HackerRank, right? Like I do not recommend a lot of, like let's say, competitive programming is again very trending, right? But of course, like it helps you, but again it's not required, right, that you have to do competitive programming to get into, like let's say, a product based company or something, right? It's not that you have to be a 5-star coder at CodeChef or Code Forces and then only you can get a good opportunity, right? It's all about the kind of problem solving skills, right? Like for example, when you see a problem in front of you, like how you are able to approach it and how you are able to solve it, right? So that can be achieved, like if you're a regular practitioner on lead code, right? So that can be achieved through that, right? So that being the second point. Third is very important again, right? Like in order to again get the interview cracked, right, is a good resume and your interview preparation, right? So of course, like most of you know what, like what a resume is, right? I'm supposing, right? So again, like what do I mean by good resume is that resume appropriate for the kind of roles you're applying. So most of the students, what they do, the mistake is that they apply through the same resume at different places without reading the job description, right? So that is a very great mistake, right? So you have to read the job description first, so and then you have to consider two things. Does this job fits for me? Like for example, if the job description mentions that it's a back end role and you're a front end developer, so there is no point of applying for that role, right? So you have to see this the description first, and then you have to decide whether you should go to apply for that, right? So that is the kind of thing which you have to take care about, right? And secondly is the interview preparation, right? Like most of people, what they do wrong is that they directly without any kind of preparation, they directly appear for their on-site interviews with the interviewer, right? So again, there you don't know what are your strengths and weaknesses, how do you actually need to perform through the interview, like what kind of, for example, different companies have different kind of environments, right? In their interviews, right? So you have to know, you have to research about these things beforehand, you have to prepare for these things, you have to know your strengths and weaknesses, you have to work on your weaknesses, right? And then you have to appear for the interviews, because if you have worked hard for a like to get an interview call, you just don't want to waste it, right? You want to because that might be a one time opportunity or something like that, right? Like maybe in your college career, like there is a, for example, like Amazon or Microsoft have this yearly off campus drives, right? So हर साल में एक बार वो आता है, right? So you don't want to waste it, right? Like so you have to beforehand, before appearing for the interview, right? There must be a considerable amount of preparation that needs to be going through, right? So now, while saying that, now the striking thing is that 83% of the people, right, like of especially the college students, right, like the third year, fourth year students, they fail in their first four interviews, right? Like this is a kind of average, metric which you can say, right? So why does this happen essentially, right? Like why is this ratio such, right? So the first thing is that there is the lack of industry level projects, right? So if I'll tell you about this point, so for example, बहुत लोग क्या करते हैं, they make basic level for projects. So if I have to give an example, like let's say a COVID tracker, right? A COVID tracker website, or an Amazon clone, or a Netflix clone. So again, like these kind of projects are very common, right? Like if I had to ask you, like, does this seem pretty exciting to you? Yes, it can be your first project, but do you think these projects should be included in your resume, right? It doesn't stand out, right? For example, a lot of बहुत सारे लोग COVID tracker बना सकते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग Amazon clone बना सकते हैं, but what is that differentiating factor, right? What is the project which can stand out, right, to the HR, to the recruiter, that yes, like this person has done something interesting, this person, like we should get on an interview call with this person, right? So that is where the primary thing is that there should be a like 2 to 3, right, at max, right? If you're a college student, like I won't say you make 5, 6, 10 projects and things like that. So 1 to 3, like 2, 3 projects which are actually quite interesting and exciting, right? So there you have to define that what is industry standard, right? For example, let's say if I have to give an example, like let's say if you're a backend developer, like let's say a database management system, right? For example, an employee management system, right? So these kind of projects kind of feel that yes, you have some sort of knowledge, right? And you can work on good projects, right? So that is the first point. Now the second thing is that the gap in solving variation of problems at interviews. So a lot of students do this mistake that if they know knapsack problem, they know only one variation of knapsack problem, and they just move on to the other topics. But you have to practice other variations, right? So there are, if I'm talking about data structures and algorithms, so there are a lot of algorithms, right? And there are a lot of problems of variations of that same algorithm, right? So you have to be prepared that, for example, if you see that Microsoft asks this variations of this algorithm, so you have to before the interview you have to practice those problems, right? It's not that you just understand the concept and you go at your interview, because it's more likely that you won't be able to solve it in that limited time, that too in front of an interviewer, right? So that is where that level of preparation has to be there, right? So you have to solve a variety of problems, there has to be a variation, right? That yes, you are able to solve. Like for example, if you're solving a recursion or a backtracking problem, you should know that yes, like there are some other variations of this, and how do I approach it, how do I solve it, right? There is no such thing called mug up, right? You can't just mug up a solution and go and think that you will crack the interview, because of course in the interview you have to think out loud and tell the interview that what exactly you are thinking, right? So again, that there is no point of mugging up things. So you have to prepare, you have to practice variety of problems, right? So that you can do good in your interviews, right? The third thing is that they don't know how to perform in interview rounds, right? So that is a very big concern. Like सारा साल मैंने मेहनत करा, right? But when I'm going for the interview, I don't know how to perform in there, right? I don't know how the interviewer will, frame the interview, right? What kind of questions he will do, and how exactly should I answer, right? A lot of times, if I'll tell you that a lot of times students solve the questions, but they forget to, think out loud, right? They forget to communicate, right? So that what that leads, they get rejected in the interview, right? Even if they solve the full question correctly, they get rejected, right? Because there was no communication. The interviewer failed to understand, yeah, how is this person, how is the candidate, solving the problem, right? So there is a huge gaps, right? So these are some of the things, these are the like the top three things which students like, which is the cause of that, percentage of failure in the first set of interviews, right, for students, right? So how exactly do we go about this, right? Is there a solution available? Like, how exactly do we go about this, right? Especially college students, right? People who are in first year, second year, third year, fourth year, right? So yes, a solution exists, right? So there is something to make your life easier, right? So that is where, mentor comes into play, right? So here you will be able to find, industry level professionals, right? That too, you can start a, you can see their profiles, you can check out their profiles. If you're preparing, let's say if you're preparing for a engineering interview at Amazon, right? So you will go on mentor, you will get a software engineer at Amazon, you will start a session, and these sessions are completely, easy to, schedule, right? So you will just do a one-on-one session, right? You will get to know that कि यार interview में क्या आता है, how do I prepare for the interview, right? You will be getting the solution then and there, and you can prepare accordingly for your interview, right? So that is the kind of, benefit, how you can make your life easier, right, through platforms like this. That is how exactly you can do it, right? Now there will be people like, for example, especially first year, second year students कि यार मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं है, I have no idea that how, data structures and algorithms work, like how or what is front end development, what is back end development. I can't find organized resources, I can't, learn from there, right? Like there are a lot of, high end paid courses and things like that, right? So again, there is a solution for that, right? So this is all to make your life easier, right? So there is something called mentorship programs, right? So every mentor on the platform, right? For example, people who are currently working at Google, Amazon, right, Adobe, right, cred, right? So these people are doing, mentorship programs on, different topics like system design, data structures, open source, front end, back end, right? So this is a month long, program where they actually mentor you, they actually, prepare you through some, very credible and definite set of resources, right? By, through, in peer engagement, group engagement, plus there will be, weekly live sessions, right, through which they will help you prepare, right? So that is exactly, and that too very affordably and very directly, right, through this 1 month program, right? So that is where, like, for both, like people who are in the third year, fourth year, and actively looking for internships, you can directly, get in touch with a mentor, and you can, as the 3 points which I mentioned that they mostly lack, right, in students, you can directly, get it resolved, right? And if you're someone who is looking to, start your career, right, in, like, let's say in topics like data structures, algorithms, front end development, back end development, system design, right, you can just, choose a, a mentorship program and join that, right? Like there's this batch which is starting from, March 15th, right? So that is where you can, definitely build a career, right? That is something exciting which I have to share to you, right, since it's starting from the next month. So you better hurry it up, right? And of course there is this special promo code for, all the attendees which I had to bring it, right, so that, everyone can get benefit, right? So you can use this promo code, like you can head over to the mentor.tech/programs, link right from here, right? So, and yes, you can use this promo code, registrations are open, right? It's all for the community, it's all, so that you guys can get maximum benefit out of it. You guys don't have to, purchase like a hefty amounts of courses and things like that, but rather learn from someone credible, right? Someone who is working at Google, someone who is working at Amazon, someone who is working at cred, right, directly, right, easily. So that is the whole point of such a platform, right, which you can, I think, definitely you guys can take benefit from. So yeah, like that was all it from my side, like how exactly you can start your career, and how, platforms like mentor are making the life easier for the students, right, so that, they can get everything directly, right? So yeah, like that's it. Like, of course, you guys can reach me out on Twitter, right, at @GD003, and of course you guys can mail me, right? So yeah, like that was it. Like, yep, like yeah, thanks a lot for joining in. Yep.
Wow, wow, wow. What an amazing session it was. I can clearly see that our chats are flooding with so many questions. Like, they definitely enjoyed your session a lot.
Sure. My pleasure, my pleasure. Yeah.
But as we are currently short of time, so we should the questions should keep coming in. So, folks, we want to inform you all that you can still ask your doubts by emailing us at contact@gdscwow.tech, and we will try to resolve all of your queries as soon as possible.
But really, it was an awesome session. And thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time and giving us such an insightful session. Thank you so much, Jadid, sir.
Sure. My pleasure, guys. My pleasure. Yep.
Thank you, Jyoti, for the exciting session.
Sure. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Okay, so now it's time. Now let us hear a few words from our developer relations team of Google India. Here they are. Meanwhile, I would like to see chat
Hi
saying get
everyone.
that wow.
So what are we here for today? Is there any update?
Hi Anya, I do have an update. We have some exciting announcements coming on our way.
Oh, is it about the GDSC application for class 22-23?
Correct. Applications for the new batch of GDSC are opening up soon.
I remember back in 2019 we had around 200 leads in India. We have come a long way since then.
Definitely, Ananya, GDSC program has impacted lakhs of developers by providing learning opportunities, mentorship support, peer-to-peer learning, and networking opportunities for many. Today, we have Karthik, who leads the Google developers ecosystem in India, who will share more about the impact this program has created across the years.
Thank you, Nikita. And so it's Google Developer Student Club in India is probably the 5th year in running. I still vividly remember when we launched it way back in Goa. And we started with 200 chapters, and we have grown to 350 and fast growing. I'm so excited with the Google Developer Student Clubs, the growth it's able to provide, and more importantly, the opportunity it has had and the kind of impact it's delivered for the undergrad students in India. Lakhs of students have gone through this program. It has helped them to become better leaders, better at being industry ready. Their employability has gone up thanks to the Google Developer Student Club's curriculum and various programs and study jams we've been running. The great news is that it's grown over the last few years. Now we are present in 352 colleges. We have 352 Google Developer Student Club leads, and we are present in 100 cities. And they're all part of a global community comprising of over 1,500 leads. So it's a perfect platform for students to leverage to become better leaders, become industry experts, be industry ready, and increase their employability. And of course, amazing networking opportunity to learn and share and also have fun. So we've had an impact where we have more than lakh of developers gain new skills, get certified in domains like Google Cloud, Android, and solve real world problems through programs like Solution Challenge. Many of you may actually be participating in the ongoing Solution Challenge 2022. All the best for you all in this. To add to this, I have some leads who have gone above and beyond by helping students find internship opportunities. All in all, it's an amazing program for all of you to participate in Google Developer Student Clubs.
That's not it. This year, we are planning to expand the reach to more and more campuses in India to provide these opportunities to many other students across the country. We, the Developer Relations India invite team, folks across the country passionate about creating an impact with their leadership skills to apply for the GDSC program. As a lead, As a lead, you can build a community of students from your own campus
who are passionate about
who are
learning new
passionate about
skills
learning new
and enjoy
skills
developing
and enjoy
applications that
developing
solve real world
applications that solve
problems.
real world
Just like
problems.
Karthik
Just
mentioned
like
about the
Karthik
solutions
mentioned about
talent.
the solutions talent.
This is a great
This is a
opportunity
great
to provide
opportunity to
exclusive Google
provide
programs
exclusive Google
and valuable
programs and
networking
valuable
opportunities
networking
for the folks
opportunities
on your
for the folks
campus.
on your campus.
Wow, this is actually
Wow, this is
interesting.
actually
Where can
interesting.
I find more
Where can
about
I
this
find more
program?
about this
Explore the
program?
Google
Explore
Developers
the Google
page to
Developers
learn more
page
about
to
this
learn more
program.
about this
You can
program.
go to
You can go to
developers.google.com and search
developers.google.com
for
and
Google
search
Developers
for
Student
Google
Club
Developers.
under Developer Communities header. The link is also shared below on your screens. But Nikita, do you know how can I apply to be a GDSC lead?
So, the applications for the GDSC class of 2022-23 launch on 1st of March and will be open until 15th of April. I encourage all of you interested to go to the link that we have shared below starting 1st March and apply. After you apply, the shortlisted students will be invited for an interview starting mid April. And the selected candidates will hear about their confirmation as leads via an email by the end of May.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing the timelines, Nikita. We'll be sharing all of this information periodically through our social media channels as well. So don't forget to follow Google Devs In channel on Twitter to know more about the program. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for sharing
Thank you so
some
much.
insightful. Yeah, and let me announce a few things now we are going to tell the winners that don't forget to follow us on different social medias because we are going to post about the winners from the previous day and today's winners. We are going to post all of these in our social media handles. So don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and other platforms. So today
Also,
was
please
indeed
make
a
sure to fill
wonderful.
the feedback form too. If you
Yeah,
see the
yeah, that
moderators
is
have
also
shared the
important.
feedback form, so please make sure to fill if you've really enjoyed the session today.
Yes. So today was indeed a wonderful event, but I am already feeling sad at the same time that our GDSC WOW event has come to an end.
Yeah, me too. But you know what is the best part? I'm really happy about the fact that I'm walking away from this event with so much of knowledge, goodies, opportunities, and many more.
Yeah, I would really like my audience to share their favorite moments of the events throughout these 3 days. So, folks, just comment your favorite moment in the chat so that we can also go through all of your feedback. I can see so many comments and please share feedback form. Yeah, don't forget to fill the feedback form. It will help us to get to know what are the things we can improve in our upcoming events. Okay, great. Feedback form. So, but before we end our event today, we'd like to mention and give a huge shout out to our sponsors who are.
The title sponsor, Geeks for Geeks. So, Geeks for Geeks is the world's most trusted interview preparation portal for tech aspirants. They have a big repository of tech content, and the daily traffic is about 5 million. From delivering top notch content from other writers, as well as valuable contributors from the students, as well as the valuable contributions from students, and imparting education via online, Geeks for Geeks plays a pivotal role in providing access to education to budding coders in India.
We would like to play the video of Geeks for Geeks.
So next we have the title sponsors who is Mentro. Mentro brings professional mentorship from people working in companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Geo, Flipkart, Gojek, Reddit, and more at a personalized one-on-one level for you.
And we have AlgoZenith. AlgoZenith is empowering students to learn algorithmic problem solving and developmental skills to give their career a head start. We also have
We have our
Agora
gold
as our
sponsor,
gold
Agora.
sponsor. Agora is the leading video, voice, and live interactive streaming platform helping developers deliver rich in-app experiences, including embedded voice and video chat, real-time recording, interactive live streaming, and real-time messaging.
We've got silver sponsor, Virtual Cyber Labs. Virtual Cyber Lab is a 24/7 virtual university which comes with an all-in-one hub for students, parents, and cybersecurity enthusiasts. We believe in practicality and so are trainers. Get up now and be a part of this practical simulation.
We have Coding Ninjas with us. Coding Ninjas is a world-class teaching faculty and a state-of-art learning platform for coding education with faculty alumni of IIT, Stanford, Triple IT, and Facebook.
We've got Floxes. They solve real problems with project-based learning. They build your mindset with their one-of-a-kind courses and upcoming intuitive platforms.
We have Sketch. So Sketch is a vector graphics editor for macOS developed by the Dutch company Sketch PV. It was first released on 7 September 2010 and won an Apple Design Award in 2012. And last but not the least, we also have our streaming partner StreamYard.
Also, a huge shout out to our awesome speakers who took their time out, gave us insightful sessions throughout the 3 days, and gave us so much than we actually expected.
Okay, so on day one, we had sessions about roadmaps of different domains where we had Nikita Gandhi for Flutter, Pritam Sahu for Cloud, Charu Chodha for UI UX, Anuradha Kumari for Web, and Usha Rengaraju for AIML.
On the day two, we had sessions about different future opportunities of different domains, where we had Dipen Joshi for Flutter, Satish Vijay for Cloud, Ansh Mehra for UI UX, Brijraj Singh for Web, and Bhavesh Bhatt for AIML.
Today, we had hands-on sessions on different domains where we had Pawan Kumar for Flutter, Dharmesh Bhaya for Cloud, Puneet Chawla for UI UX, and Karthik Terasai for Web. Apart from that, we had a surprising career guidance session by Jaideep Prasad.
Also, a huge
And
shout out to all those GCs, leads, organizers, to the core team, volunteers who have been contributing in the event and made this event a successful one. Guys, if you want to respect us, make sure to feed the feedback form.
also a huge shout out to our audience for being there with us throughout the session.
Thanks,
And thank
everyone. We'll
you.
see you next year with the same level of enthusiasm and lots of sessions, goodies, quizzes, and much more.
Also,
Till
don't
then,
forget
follow
to
us on all
follow
social
us
media
on social
handles.
media handles and stay tuned for the to know about upcoming events. Don't forget to like this stream and also subscribe to this YouTube channel. So thank you everyone.
See you next year, everyone. Bye bye and take care. And please, for the
Goodbye.
last time, mention GetSetWoW.
Yeah, you can also post about your favorite moment and tag us, tag GDSC WOW in different social media. And definitely, we also have few prizes for for the people who will post valuable things. And yeah, we can definitely select few of them.
We can see so many GetSetWoW. I will definitely miss this event a lot.
Exactly. I will also miss
GetSetWoW.
that.